Hey everyone, per your requests, I'm starting Soul Land 5, The Rebirth of Tang San, chapters 1121 through 1140 of the previous episode. Following the unexpected death of the Adamant Nymph Emperor, the Demon Continent's political landscape undergoes rapid transformation. Tang San, acting under his identity as Jean Miaolin and leveraging the recent awakening of the ancestral tree, maneuvers to position the Blue Gold Tree clan as a neutral, indispensable life force provider to the major cities. His strategic brilliance is highlighted by his success in the tournament, where he secures a spot in the finals, while Mei Gongzi dominates the female bracket, culminating in a historic union. The tournament, now effectively a battle to determine the next generation of emperors, reaches its climax. Mei Gongzi defeats powerful contenders, while Tang San strategically navigates the competition, even going so far as to forfeit certain matches to manipulate his and Mei Gongzi's positions for the final round. Through the support of influential emperors and the careful deployment of divine artifacts, including the Shadow Fiend Sword and the Light Sprite, Tang San and Mei Gongzi emerge as the clear favorites. Their engagement, celebrated with the participation of both Dragon and Phoenix races, signifies a new era of geopolitical unity. With the ancestral court's full recognition, Tang San and Mei Gongzi now stand at the threshold of emperorhood, preparing to secure their future and humanity's eventual independence. Thank you. Now let's get back to the story of Soul Land 5, The Rebirth of Tang San audio series. Chapter 1141. 3 Questions Before Marriage. Even Tang San, looking at the Sky Fox Great Demon Emperor at this time, couldn't help but secretly admire in his heart. This person really deserves to be in charge of the ancestral court for so many years, and with just a few words it has brought the Qianyu Empire in Japan closer. The distance between the Chun empires in the recent period, the relationship between the two empires has been changing. With the successive fall of the two emperors, the Richan Empire has a tendency to rise under the leadership of the Tianyang-Tianjing Emperor. Under the control of the Qianyu Empire, the Qianyu Empire also paid a considerable price. It is very important for the ancestral court to maintain a stable situation. The only advantage of the Qianyu Empire now is that 2 of the 3 quasi-emperors belong to the monster clan. Whether it is Mr. Mei or Suan Yu, as long as one becomes the emperor, the situation can be stabilized. As for Jean Miaolin, he is a neutral race now. Even if he becomes an emperor, he cannot have any partiality on the surface. Next, Tianyang Tianjing Huang will marry the 2 prospective emperors. The Tianhu Demon Emperor stepped aside with a smile and made a gesture of invitation to Tianyang Tianjing Huang. The Tianhu Great Demon Emperor presided over the wedding, and the Tianyang Tianjing Emperor presided over the wedding. There is no doubt that this is already the highest standard of the ancestral court. Tang San held young Master Mei's hand and came to the center. Tianyang Tianjing Huang walked in front of them. What surprised Tang San and Mei Gongzi was that at this moment, the always illusory light and shadow on Tianyang Tianjing Huang's face was gradually fading away, revealing his true colors. Seeing this person's true face, even Tang San's pupils shrank for a while, and a look of shock flashed in his eyes. Tianyang Tianjing Huang smiled and said, "What? Is it surprising? I don't want to show my true face to others, it's just a habit. The emperors who have made good friends with me actually know it. Today you are married, this is also my let me give you a gift. All the existences that have seen my true face have gained my friendship." At this time the air around them was slightly distorted. Even the emperor could not see the situation inside from the outside, and could not see the true face of Tianyang Tianjing Huang, only 3 figures rippling in the water waves. Tianyang Tianjing Huang has a pair of very bright eyes, the pupils are light red, and his long golden hair hangs behind him. His face is somewhat heroic, but his appearance is extremely beautiful, with oppressive feeling. However, her gender is completely different from what Tang San and Mr. Mei knew before. Yes, Tianyang Tianjing Huang is actually a woman. For a long time Tang San thought that she and the Earth Cloud Sky Essence Emperor were a pair, but now it seems that this is not the case. It is a well-known fact that the Heavenly Essence Emperor of the Earth Een is a woman. It turns out that these 2 are not lovers but best friends. There was a wry smile on Tang San's face, which was really unexpected. "Your Majesty, it's hard for us to hide from you." Tang San couldn't help feeling helpless. There was a hint of vigilance in the eyes of Mr. Mei. Tianyang Tianjing Huang smiled slightly, looked at young Master Mei and said, "Little girl, what are you thinking about with your little head? I am already over 2,000 years old. Today is your day of great joy. Now, I will do it for you. Officiate." The distorted light streaks dissipated quietly, and Tianyang Tianjing Wang returned to his original illusory face. "Ji Miaolin, please answer my 3 questions now," Tianyang Tianjing Wang said in a deep voice. "Yes," Tang San replied. "Are you willing to marry young Master Mei? And no matter when, where you are, you will always be with her until you grow old and never give up." Tang San said loudly. "Pray for spirits to live together, to be united forever." According to the rules of Fairy Continent, this is called 3 questions before marriage. There are different ways to answer, among which the best way to express loyalty to love is the blood oath. And Tang San and young Master Mei obviously don't need the blood oath. They have the necklace of prayer for spiritual life, which is even a step further than the blood oath. Not just never abandoning, but also living together and dying together. Emperor Tianyang Tianjing nodded and said, "Are you willing to have offspring with her and work hard for the continuation of the race?" Chapter 1142. Tang San and Shao Wu Wedding Gift. Wu Bingji floated up, soared into the air, and quickly came over a huge warehouse on the west side of the village. With a circle of hands, the strong suction pulled the wooden warehouse up into the air, exposing the ground below with a diameter of nearly 50 meters. On the ground, on the complex magic circle that has already been outlined, there are many gems dotted with it. Wu Bingji floated down. There is a round silver array disc in his hand. The surrounding villages had already become lively at this moment. He took a deep breath and carefully placed the formation plate in his hand in the center of the huge formation under his feet. The entire magic circle was still calm for a moment, but the next moment, a circle of silver halo rippled from the center of the magic circle, and the halo scattered in all directions, covering the huge magic circle with a diameter of 50 meters in an instant. Immediately, the gemstones on the magic circle were quickly lit up, and the brilliant light lit up, and the strange space attribute burst out instantly. A layer of silver radiance rose tens of meters high, and then shrouded it in a strange light. The magic circle has been activated. According to the sequence that had been rehearsed many times, the villagers of the village where the magic circle was located quickly gathered towards the magic circle with their packed luggage. Wu Bingji came out of the magic circle, and the staff who helped the redemption quickly led them into it. Soon thousands of people entered the circle. "Master Wu Bingji, the first batch is ready." "Okay." Wu Bingji nodded at this moment. He suddenly turned his head to look towards the east, towards the direction of Zhu Ting, and murmured to himself, "Tang San, this is our wedding gift to you." In the next moment, a ray of light shot out from his hand, and the activated magic circle instantly burst into a strong silver radiance. The people in the magic circle were all nervous and surprised, watching the strange and bizarre scene around them. In the next moment, the light in the magic circle suddenly converged, and all the people disappeared without a trace. The silver radiance subsided. Wu Bingji didn't dare to neglect, and quickly got busy, leading the redemption personnel to start replacing energy gems of various attributes for the magic circle, preparing for the second transmission. Yep, that's the most important thing redemption organizations are doing these days. If human beings want to have their own future on the fairy continent, they must find another way. The monsters and ghosts are too powerful. Moreover, he has always been vigilant against human beings, especially the Skyfox Demon Emperor who is in power, which makes it extremely difficult for human beings to develop. Only by moving overseas can human beings have their own opportunities. With Tang San's efforts, everything is moving in a good direction. Everything is changing. Establishing the country of building wood overseas and formulating 2 brand new cultivation methods for human beings at the same time give human beings a foundation to move towards the future, which may take a long time to achieve. But at least there was a chance. On the premise that the overseas has been built to accommodate more human settlements, the Redemption Organization has already begun to gather human beings from all over the fairy continent, establish teleportation arrays, and make preparations to bring more human beings overseas. It has taken a long time to prepare for this. The continent's caravan of the peacock monster race played a big role in it, transporting various resources to all parts of the mainland in order to allow people from all over the world to believe in themselves. The Redemption Organization specially invited some prestigious representatives of human beings from all over the world to visit Crescent Island overseas a long time ago, and ask them to go and see what kind of people there are, how to live and work in peace and contentment. Afterwards, bring the information back and take these people into the redemption organization. As a result, more and more people yearn for overseas life. These preparations have been presided over by Shao He since he took over as the Prime Minister, and the backbone of the work is the people from the original Redemption Organization, especially the students from the Redemption Academy. They all have certain strength and insight. Chapter 1143, Book of Laws. After leaving the main table, Tang San and young Master Mei were the first to arrive at the wine table where the Dragon Clan was. Suan Yu was not at the main table. The main table was full of the Emperor and the new couple Tang San and young Master Mei. Brother Su, thank you so much today. Tang San brought young Master Mei to Suan Yu, and Suan Yu, all the Dragon Kings and elders of the Dragon Clan stood up. Suan Yu laughed and said, "Should I still say thank you? Then how many times do I have to thank you for coming over? Congratulations, come on, cheers." This time he brought a lot of strong dragons and Crystal City almost came out in full force. Only then did the spectacular scene of the 1,000 dragons chant before. Now that the Dragon Clan has no emperor, he will take advantage of this time to tell all the clans that even if there is no emperor, the Dragon Clan is still as strong as before. Tang San had a toast with it, while young Master Mei had a taste of it. Suan Yu said in a low voice, "Are you going to retreat after your wedding?" Tang San smiled and said, "What? Are you still worried about not enough vacancies?" Suan Yu shook his head and said, "How come there are more vacancies now? I heard that Zhu Ting is still discussing who will fill the 4th position. Let's work hard together, eat more and occupy more, so that 4th spot just isn't going to happen." Tang San smiled and said, "You are really greedy." Suan Yu smiled wryly. "I'm not greedy, but I'm under a lot of pressure. Now my clan has no emperor, but the Phoenix Monster clan already has 2 main cities. This has never happened before in history. After going back this time, I also want to retreat immediately, and after you become emperors, I will immediately pass through the tribulation. Without the emperor sitting in the town, we are also afraid." Tang San naturally understood what he was afraid of. If taking advantage of the opportunity of the Dragon Clan's weakness, several powerful clans would spare no effort to join forces to target, the Dragon Clan would not be without danger of genocide. Of course, this possibility is very small, but it has to be guarded against for the Dragon Clan. "Don't worry, no matter what time we will support you." Tang San stretched out his hand to shake it. Suan Yu's eyes shone brightly. "We are the same, no matter what time, we are your staunch supporters. When you cross the catastrophe, I will definitely come to watch the ceremony. When we need help, the Dragon Clan will never back down." Tang San half-jokingly said, "Remember your words." "That's natural." The two had another drink. After Tang San paid his respects to the other Dragon Kings and elders, he brought young Master Mei to the next table. Young Master Mei sent a voice transmission to him. "Do you think this guy will stand by us at critical times?" Tang San smiled and said, "He is a smart man, and when the time comes, I will have my own way to suppress the Dragon Clan. Don't worry. Speaking of it, our big day today has already begun." Young Master Mei was shocked. Of course she knew what Tang San was referring to, and said via voice transmission, "Then you should drink a little longer. Let all your attention be better concentrated here." Tang San smiled slightly and said, "Just drinking is not enough. If you want to attract the attention of the 2 goblin races in the whole mainland, you need to give them some stimulation." "Huh, how exciting. Wait and see." After toasting around, Tang San brought Mr. Mei back to the main table. He first opened the chair for young Master Mei and asked her to sit down, then came to the side of Qianhu Great Demon Emperor and Tianyang Tianjing Emperor. The Great Demon Emperor Qianhu smiled and said, "It seems that everyone is very interested. Why didn't you come back after drinking a few more drinks? We old guys are going to leave first." Tang San smiled and said, "Your Majesty, don't worry. Today is the day of our big wedding. So many relatives and friends have come to attend, and it is such an honor to have your Majesty witness our marriage. I have to show something. Please also, your Majesty, wait a moment. Oh, are you going to give a big gift? Wasn't that enough?" Tianyang Tianjing Huang was also aroused and asked curiously. With a mysterious smile on Tang San's face, he said, "It's just the beginning just now. Just wait a bit." Chapter 1144. An artifact that can devour attacks? Su Anyu's eyes narrowed. An artifact that can devour attacks? This is quite an existence. Young Master Mei hadn't used this artifact during the previous battle of the Emperor, but thinking about what Tang San said just now, it was re-refined by him and young Master Mei, and it suddenly dawned on him. However, this person is already so powerful, and now there is one more artifact like this, it is really even more powerful. It's really the right nickname. Bridegroom Officer. I'm afraid you won't be able to get rid of your nickname of Amethyst Coin Warrior. Su Anyu said helplessly, immediately eliciting bursts of laughter from the guests below. Tang San descended from the sky together with him, and returned to the banquet. Brother Su, don't worry, my law code is not that simple. It has a name called Book of All Laws. Tang San said with a smile. As soon as this remark came out, the eyes of the emperors also changed a little. The Book of All Laws, this name is not small. If ordinary people said such words, they would just sneer, but from Tang San, an amethyst coin fighter, they couldn't take it lightly. Tang San held the Book of Laws with his left hand, and opened it with his right hand, revealing the page that took over Su Anyu's attack just now. Immediately, all the emperors clearly saw that on that page, there was an additional picture, which was a golden holy dragon with teeth and claws, which was lifelike. This. As the instigator, Su Anyu looked at Tang San in surprise, and thought of something instantly. Brother Jean, can't you? Tang San smiled slightly, raised the Book of Laws in his hand towards the sky, and immediately, the dragon chant that had appeared before resounded through the sky again, this time because it came from the ground to the sky. It was louder than before. It immediately attracted the attention of all the guests present. The golden dragon shadow suddenly rushed out of the Book of Laws in Tang San's hands, straight into the sky, and flew a full 1,000 meters before gradually fading away, turning into light elements again and disappearing. It was almost exactly the same as Su Anyu's previous failure. Seeing this scene, all the emperors present couldn't help being moved. This is an amazing artifact. Su Anyu is the quasi-emperor, a powerhouse at the peak level of the 11th Order Big Demon King. Although he didn't go all out in the attack just now, such a divine weapon can completely swallow his attack, which is already very strong. Who knows where its limit is? But now, it can actually reuse the attack it swallowed. This is even more remarkable. In an instant, the value of this artifact doubled. Tianyang Tianjinghuang couldn't help but said, "You call it the Book of Laws because it can swallow all kinds of attacks?" Tang San smiled and said, "It can be said so. Any attribute can be devoured. But the premise is that it cannot exceed the range of the user's tolerance. That is to say, if Brother Su's attack just now can't be blocked by my own cultivation, then the Book of Laws naturally can't swallow it. For example, if the attacks of the emperors are beyond the scope of what I can bear when they attack me, then I will absorb them into the Book of Laws." The great demon emperor Tianhu asked, "Then how many skills can your Book of Laws absorb?" Tang San slightly shook the Book of Laws in his hand, and said with a smile, "About 1/3 of the pages of this book can absorb skills." The Book of Laws in his hand is very thick, at least a few hundred pages, even 1/3 of it is more than 100 pages. Although I don't know the specific requirements for using it, even the emperor can't help being jealous when he sees such an artifact. Different races have different racial characteristics and many abilities can complement each other. Even if it comes with a few healing abilities, the value of this book will double. This is simply an artifact among artifacts, and its preciousness is by no means inferior to those at the finale of the super auction, and even more so. Chapter 1145. Rubbing Auction. The emperor who represents the leader of the monster clan and the spirit monster clan has said so, and the emperors present will naturally not object. The great demon emperor Tianhu looked at Emperor Tianyang Tianjing. "Who will come first?" Tianyang Tianjinghuang said, "I am the first to speak, so I will come first. Jin Miaolin, I will use the Tianyang cannon to attack you. Get ready, I will control the power at the level of the great demon king." "Thank you, your majesty." Tang San made a gesture of invitation, and waited for Tianyang Tianjing Emperor to rise into the sky first, then followed closely behind, and followed him into the sky, flying to the previous height. Tianyang Tianjinghuang raised his right hand, and a big sun lit up behind him instantly, making the entire field below bright. Immediately afterwards, a golden red beam of light over 2 meters in diameter blasted out, heading straight for Tang San's bombardment behind Tang San, the blue and golden. Tree shadow emerged, strong life energy burst out instantly. The book of all dharmas in his palm suddenly burst into dazzling golden light, and the pages of the book opened by themselves, blocked in front of Tang San. Around the fiery Tianyang cannon, the air twisted like water waves, and the extremely powerful energy fluctuations made the place below instantly quiet. This is an attack by Tianyang Tianjing Huang. Even if it is the realm of the Great Demon King, it is definitely not something that ordinary Great Demon Kings can use. I saw circles of dark golden ripples rippling on the Book of Laws, and the Tianyang cannon bombarded it, and the entire Book of Laws was rendered golden red in an instant. Everyone below couldn't help worrying about whether it could withstand it, whether this artifact would be damaged. The blue-gold light on Tang San's body quietly added a touch of golden red brilliance, and at some point the sacred dragon spear had already floated beside him. The orange-gold sacred light poured into the Book of Laws, and immediately, the golden-red color on the Book of Laws began to fade away. This Tianyang cannon lasted for a full 5 seconds before it stopped quietly, and the golden-red brilliance on the Book of Laws lasted for 3 more seconds before it gradually returned to its original dark golden color. Tang San couldn't help but said, "Your Majesty, this is not an ordinary Big Demon King's attack. It's the Big Demon King's continuous attack." Tianyang Tianjing Wang said with a smile. "Aren't you going to auction? Then it's not just right to make your lot more valuable." The expressions of the emperors below were all different. They were all very curious about Tang San's Book of Laws, and the attempt of Tianyang Tianjing Emperor's attack just now made them judge in their hearts that it seems that this Book of Laws is really difficult to withstand the attack of the Emperor's level, but it is already quite extraordinary to be able to withstand the Tianyang cannon attack of Tianyang Tianjing Huang for 5 seconds. Tang San smiled and said, "It's finally a blessing to live up to my fate." At that moment, he turned the Book of Laws in his hand, with the pages facing outwards, allowing the guests below to watch. On the page of the book, there was an extra round of golden red sun shining brightly on the page. Even if you just looked at it, you could vaguely feel the mighty power with a bit of distortion in it. There is no doubt that the attack power of this page is definitely much stronger than Su Anyu's attack before. Tang San pressed his right hand on the page, and the next moment, the page with the Tianyang cannon had already detached from the book body and fell into his palm. Let's start bidding next. For this page of Tianyang cannon, let's start with 100 amethyst coins. Tang San smiled. Tianyang Tianjing Wang had returned to his position at this time, and couldn't help laughing and scolding. "This boy, is my attack only worth 100 amethyst coins?" The White Tiger Demon Emperor smiled and said, "He hopes that more people will participate in it. This kid is really interesting." The Great Demon Emperor Tianhu smiled and said, "It's more than just interesting. Being able to withstand Brother Tianyang's 5-second attack without retreating half a minute, his cultivation has become more and more advanced." After hearing the words of the Great Demon King Tianhu, the emperors present couldn't help but feel slightly moved. Although the Tianyang Tianjing Emperor controlled his cultivation base at the level of the Great Demon King, it would be amazing to be able to catch her attack that lasted for 5 seconds. It is not something that ordinary Big Demon Kings can do, because Tianyang's attributes are not comparable to the power of the fierce Sunflower Essence clan. It seemed that although Tang San had already used the Sacred Dragon Gun before, he was completely next, but just as the Skyfox Demon Emperor said, he did not retreat half a point. This alone has fully demonstrated his formidable strength. Chapter 1146. This night is destined to be beautiful. The Blue Gold Tree family made a move, and Jean Miaosen won it at a price of 1,600 amethyst coins, which even exceeded the previous price of the Tianyang cannon. Also set off a climax again next. The emperors made their moves one after another. With the example of the previous emperors, almost all the emperors showed their housekeeping skills, imprinting powerful skills one by one on Tang San's Book of Laws. Each page fetched a high price. Among them, the one with the highest price was the Phoenix Nirvana of the Immortal Demon Emperor. Only the Phoenix Monster clan at the level of the Undead Great Demon King can directly release the ability of Phoenix Nirvana to be branded by Tang San. He didn't launch an attack, but directly injected this ability into Tang San's page, with the guarantee of the Immortal Great Demon Emperor, which naturally caused a frenzied scramble. What is Phoenix Nirvana? It is equivalent to having a second life, only valid for emperors and below. However, apart from these people on the main table, there are no other emperors. In the end, it was sold at a price of 2,500 amethyst coins, and in the end, only the Sky Fox Demon Emperor was left. Tang San looked at the great Demon Emperor Qianhu with a smile on his face in the air. "Your Majesty Qianhu, please." The great Demon Emperor Qianhu floated up, came across Tang San, looked at him with deep eyes, smiled and said, "Our clan is not good at attacking, so I will inject some luck into today's happy day." While speaking, there was a faint white halo in his eyes. Looking into his eyes, for some reason, Tang San suddenly felt himself in a trance for a moment. In an instant, he seemed to see the huge nine-tailed sky fox floating between the sky and the earth, and besides the nine-tailed sky fox, nothing else. The strong spiritual consciousness fluctuated, accompanied by a slight tremor of the luck of the entire ancestral court. The next moment, a ray of pure white light had silently landed on the Book of Laws. The Book of All Laws trembled slightly, and the surface burst into dazzling brilliance instantly, and a pair of eyes emitting white light were imprinted on it, and the soft white light rippled. Tang San's own trance did not gradually recover until this moment, only to hear the Sky Fox Demon Emperor say, "This is my blessing. It can increase the power of luck for a period of time. Because I am not an attack ability, so my brand name, the effect on it will be stronger, and it should be regarded as the threshold of entering the Emperor. Jin Miaolin Juanhuang's artifact can fully bear it. Heavenly Fox blessing at the Emperor level." The guests below suddenly burst into cheers. Everyone knows what this means. However, the next moment, the words of the great Demon Emperor Qianhu poured cold water on the guests. "Miaolin, I will not auction this page. This lucky blessing is given to you and the beautiful city owner as today's wedding ceremony. A gift." Tang San was fully awake at this time, bowed towards the Sky Fox Demon Emperor and said, "Then thank you, Your Majesty." The entire auction process has been approaching an hour, and with the return of the Sky Fox Great Demon Emperor, it can be regarded as an end. Tang San counted the auction amount. It was more than 18,000 amethyst coins. This is definitely an astronomical figure. Even if it is distributed to the whole city, every citizen will have a lot of profit when converted into element coins. All of a sudden, the entire ancestral home turned into a sea of joy. Cheers came and went, so much so that even Zhu Ting's luck seemed to rise a bit. Tang San also returned to the main table, picked up the wine glass, and toasted all the emperors. All the emperors also got up one after another, and the Qianhu Demon Emperor smiled and said, "Today is a day of great joy. We will not delay the beautiful scenery of the two quasi-emperors. I will use this cup to bless you again, and I also wish you two in advance. If the quasi-emperor can become emperor smoothly and soon, it will inject new blood into us old guys in the ancestral court council." Tianyang Tianjingwang smiled and said, "Cheers." After drinking the wine in the cup, the emperors left on their own. The Jingfeng Demon Emperor, who didn't say much in the audience, stopped slightly when he passed by Tang San and young Master Mei, smiled and nodded at them, his eyes full of passion, strong feelings. Chapter 1147. After the wedding. With the end of the weddings of the two quasi-emperors, the ancestral court has regained its calm, and this wedding can also be said to be an official announcement to the entire continent that these two future emperors will be the mainstay of the ancestral court in the future. Of course, the premise is that they can officially overcome the calamity and become emperors. On the second day of the wedding, Tang San brought the beautiful son to report to the ancestral court that he would continue to build the Tower of Life and bring more life energy to the ancestral court. After the Tower of Life was completed, he would start to retreat and practice, ready to attack the throne of the emperor. The ancestral family will allow everything, and spare no effort to provide the resources they need. Tang San and young Master Mei started their retreat in the Blue Gold Palace, and continued to build the Tower of Life. It wasn't until the 7th day of their wedding that the ancestral court received news from all parties that the human beings who used to live all over the continent suddenly disappeared strangely. No trace was left. The sudden disappearance of millions of human beings is undoubtedly a big event, but how is it possible that there are no traces left? The Qianhu Demon Emperor was furious, and immediately sent an investigation team from the ancestral court to investigate the situation. But it's too late. Human beings are so far away. The original gathering place of human beings has been completely burned by a fire, and all traces have been burned away. After the ancestral court's investigation lasted for a month, there was still no conclusion. He also went to Kari City to investigate, but nothing was discovered. Everything in Kari City was as usual, and the original human settlements had long since ceased to exist. In the absence of evidence, the Sky Fox Demon Emperor seemed to have no choice but to let it go. Except for the Sky Fox Demon Emperor, the other emperors obviously have no interest in the disappearance of human beings. It's just a vassal race. Tianhu Holy Mountain. The great demon emperor Tianhu stood on the top of the peak, looking into the distance. Because of the isolation of the ancestral Parliament Mountain, from the position of the Tianhu Holy Mountain, the Blue Gold Holy Mountain where Tang San and Mr. May are located cannot be seen, and there is a bit of haze in his eyes. For human beings, he has always been very vigilant, and sometimes he himself doesn't understand why. Maybe it comes from the control of luck. Other emperors may not care, but he has always been very vigilant. Although no evidence has been found so far, he is sure that this mass disappearance of humans must be related to Carrie City and Mr. May. Originally, he thought that young Master May had long since given up protecting the human race. He participated in the battle of occupying the emperor, contested martial arts to recruit relatives, and chose Jean Miaolin from the spirit race as her husband. All these seem to mean that she was integrating into the world of the monster race. But he didn't expect to give himself a big one at this critical moment. That's millions of humans. They were all teleported and disappeared. How inconceivable, and what a great project is this? By means of a conveyor belt? This is impossible. When will the Peacock Demon Clan have such a level of teleportation array? More importantly, where can they take these humans? In the past few days, relying on his control of luck, he used the power of luck to reach the mainland, but he couldn't find any traces. Those humans seem to have disappeared out of thin air. This chapter is not finished. Although there are still many human beings living on the fairy continent, most of them disappeared this time. The thorough investigation was fruitless. If it had been changed before, he would definitely call Mr. May to investigate strictly as the head of the ancestral family, and even resorted to some means, but now it is undoubtedly impossible. Leaving aside the fact that Mr. May is already the quasi-emperor, she cannot be easily moved. Just now that she is retreating with Jean Miaolin, there is no way to do anything to her. After the wedding, Jean Miaolin continued to build the Tower of Life on the Longines Palace. With the growth layer by layer, the life energy emitted by the Tower of Life became stronger and stronger. The ancestral home has now become an absolute holy place. Almost all races are crowded and want to gather in the ancestral home. It is really hard to find a pass to enter the ancestral court now, which also greatly improved the status of Jean Miaolin and even the Blue Gold Tree clan. Not to mention ordinary people and those nobles, even the emperors have recently clearly felt that the life energy brought by the Tower of Life is of great benefit to them. Such benefits are irresistible. Who can resist the uplifting of life? The great demon emperor Tianhu proposed at the last ancestral court meeting that he would invite the beautiful son who was retreating with Jean Miaolin to come out to inquire about the disappearance of human beings. But it met with strong opposition. Not only the opposition from the Richen Empire was fierce, but even the Tianyu Empire also had great opposition. All the emperors believed that at this time, Jean Miaolin and young Master May could not be disturbed to practice crossing the catastrophe. They all look forward to Jean Miaolin's success in crossing the catastrophe and bringing a new life atmosphere to the ancestors. The surprise of Tianhu Demon Emperor, Jingfeng Demon Emperor, who had just obtained great benefits and became the Lord of Crystal Wind City, had the most fierce opposition. He strongly expressed his opinion that since young Master May has married Jean Miaolin, he must have nothing to do with human beings. And with the support of the immortal Demon King, coupled with the presence of the beautiful son's grandfather, the White Tiger Demon King, the three major Demon Kings completely unified their views, and the Sword Saint Great Demon King also stood on their side. The only supporters on the Tianhu Demon Emperor's side are the Heaven-Splitting Demon Emperor and the Mammoth Demon Emperor. Not to mention the spirits and monsters, the 6 Heavenly Essence Emperors of the Richen Empire all expressed their opposition. The Tianhu Demon Emperor, who was in charge of the ancestral court on the bright side, this time the proposal was directly rejected without further discussion. This has never happened before. Therefore, even if it is him, there is nothing he can do now. Now we can only waiting for their transcendence after retreat. For the first time, the great demon emperor Tianhu felt that what he controlled was luck, not fate. A wrinkle crawled out from the corner of the eye without a sound, and the Sky Fox Demon Emperor seemed to have aged a bit. But his pair of pupils are extraordinarily bright. Fate, after all, is still in your own hands. Blue Gold Palace. After retreating, Tang San and young Master Mei blocked all news from the outside world. The situation that the Sky Fox Great Demon Emperor is facing has long been expected by Tang San. He has made so much effort, he did not hesitate to show respect to Tianyang Tianjing Huang. Why? He is a former generation of kings with his own dignity. For his own sake, he will never make false claims with these emperors. However, for the sake of humans on this plane, he is willing to bear all this. This chapter is not finished. Relying on Jean Miaolin's identity, she cleared almost all the checkpoints. Although young Master Mei has human blood, but now she is not just the Lord of Carry City, but also the wife of Jean Miaolin, the patriarch of the Blue Gold Tree clan. With this identity, it is her greatest protection. Tang San put in so much effort to start the retreat, just to make this great migration of human beings pass through safely, leaving Zhu Ting helpless. After he and young Master Mei become emperors, all the problems will no longer be problems. These days, young Master Mei has been cultivating in the Blue Gold Palace, relying on the surge of fairy energy to improve his cultivation. And Tang San was still building the Tower of Life. He didn't let Mrs. Mei continue to participate in the subsequent work. After all, her cultivation was still lacking. Taking advantage of this time, nourishing herself with the simplified version of fairy spirit, and cultivating the Azura Divine Sword is more important than anything else. For them, it is true that time does not wait. When the critical time calculated by Tang San arrives, no matter what, they must go to attack the Emperor. The Tower of Life is built up layer by layer. The higher it goes up, the smaller the volume, and relatively speaking, it is easier to build, but the life energy it brings is also more intense. Chapter 1148. The Tower of Life is built. The power of the plains gathered through the heart of nature turned into a simplified version of the spirit energy, nourishing Tang San and young Master Mei, and at the same time nourishing this Tower of Life. Under this kind of nourishment, the life energy emitted by the blue golden wood is even more pure than when it was growing. This is undoubtedly the greatest benefit to Tang San and young Master Mei, and at the same time it also draws the hearts of those emperors outside. Such a pure and powerful vitality is definitely of great benefit to their longevity. Tang San just wanted them to imagine, in this case, after he became the emperor in the future, how much life energy he could bring to them would be even greater. From the outside, the Tower of Life is a tall wooden tower exuding a faint blue-gold light, but from the inside it is another scene. Inside the Tower of Life, each floor is inlaid with many gemstones, gathering a huge and complex magic circle. The magic circles on each layer are connected to each other to form a whole. The breath of life is released from the outside, but the inside is surrounded by the spirit of fairy spirits. As the number of layers of the Tower of Life gets higher and higher, the spirit energy in the Tower of Life also becomes more and more intense. Although it can't be compared with the real fairy aura in the God realm, if the emperors feel this level of fairy aura, they will immediately feel themselves sublimated. However, Tang San didn't dare to borrow too much power from the heart of nature. Once the heart of nature became weak due to being drawn too much, the Phelan star plane would immediately feel it, and their robbing of becoming emperors would also be advanced. When it arrives, it will be an extremely terrifying oppression. It took a full month to build the Tower of Life layer by layer, and the final 13-story Tower of Life was completely completed. When Tang San inlaid the last gem in the Tower of Life, the whole Tower of Life instantly burst into dazzling brilliance. Brilliant blue-golden radiance soared into the sky, and a huge hole suddenly appeared above the ancestral court that was originally covered by the cloud of life. The blazing breath of life went straight into the sky like a shocking rainbow. The Tower of Life in the Blue Gold Palace erupted with brilliant light. One after another, the figures of the emperors flew out one after another, suspended in mid-air, looking in the direction of the Blue Gold Holy Mountain. Ever since the Tower of Life was built, the emperors did not return to their main city, but absorbed as much life energy as possible in the ancestral courtyard to nourish themselves. There was a sudden change in the Longines Palace, and the first thing they thought of was that the new Jean Miaolin was about to cross the catastrophe. This time, the emperors were staring at the Blue Gold Palace, feeling the astonishing fluctuations in the breath of life, and all of them couldn't help showing shocking expressions. I'm afraid this is not inferior to the life breath of the tree ancestors back then, Tianyang Tianjing Huang murmured. The heavenly essence emperor is beside her. We haven't sensed the breath of the tree ancestors, but it is definitely the most powerful life energy I have ever felt. This Jean Miaolin is really amazing. This Tower of Life is built, and when he Changhuang, the future achievements may not be inferior to the tree ancestors. It is a blessing that the Blue Gold Tree clan can have a second genius. It is a blessing for us to have such an ancestral court. They can all feel that the breath of life released by the Blue Gold Palace at this moment has quietly affected their own vitality, and they feel like they are gradually improving. This is still the feeling on the periphery. Then if you really bathe in such life energy, who dares to say that it won't bring you a larger life energy, thus prolonging your life? This chapter is not finished. At this moment, a slight buzzing suddenly appeared between the sky and the earth. The ordinary people didn't feel anything, but the emperors present couldn't help but change their expressions. They are all the top powerhouses in the world, and they have touched the existence of rules. At this moment they can all feel that there seems to be strong fluctuations in rules in the dark. It was a strong sense of rejection, as if the plane was angry. My good fellow, has the strength of this life energy triggered the life law of the plane? Earthine Sky Essence Emperor exclaimed in a low voice. But at this time, the huge life energy rising from the Blue Gold Palace began to shrink and fall back. The buzzing from the plane also disappeared. Even if it only happened for a moment, the emperors present had a very strong feeling, vaguely aware of what happened. Law of life. This should be the existence that Jean Miaolin will touch when he becomes emperor in the future. The absence of the emperor's tribulation means that he has not tried to cross the tribulation at this moment, but he has touched the power of the law before crossing the tribulation, indicating that he has found his own path. And this it is also the path that all the emperors present most want to see him pursue. Sky Fox. Tianyang Tianjing Emperor called to the Sky Fox Great Demon Emperor, who was not far away. The Great Demon Emperor Tianhu turned his head to look in the direction of Emperor Tianyang Tianjing. Tianyang Tianjing Wang said in a deep voice, "This Tower of Life should be completed. I propose that starting today we will take turns guarding the Tower of Life, and we will not give anyone a chance to take advantage of it. We must ensure that Jean Miaolin's catastrophe goes smoothly. What do you think?" Skyfox Great Demon Emperor Weiwei took the lead. "I agree." All the emperors also nodded one after another. It was just a short while ago that the life energy of the Tower of Life exploded, making each of them have a clear feeling that at least their lifespan was extended by more than 1 year. You must know that they have all been emperors for many years. Except for the Great Demon Emperor Jingfeng, almost every emperor has tried various methods of prolonging life. It is already very difficult to prolong one's own lifespan. But now, just a little bit of life energy leaked from the Tower of Life gave them the feeling of prolonging their lifespan. It is conceivable that after the opening of the Tower of Life in the future, Jean Miaolin's becoming emperor will bring them even more benefits. Emperor Tianyang Tianjing said, "Since that's the case, then we will rotate every month, and the emperors of the two empires will take turns guarding them." Naturally, there was no objection to this matter, and all the emperors agreed with it. The brilliance of the Tower of Life gradually returned to normal, but inside the Tower of Life, the spirit of the gods became stronger. Sitting upright in the center of the 13th floor of the Tower of Life, Tang San let out a long breath, calming down his previous nervousness. What really touched the plane was not because of the law of life, but because at the moment when the Tower of Life was fully completed, all the magic circles in the entire Tower of Life were connected together and were fully activated. The energy of the heart of nature in the tower is extracted too much, which makes the fairy spirit in the tower more intense. The fluctuation of the heart of nature has attracted the attention of the plane. Tang San reversed the magic circle at the first time, forcibly suppressing the magic circle's extraction of the heart of nature, and only then calmed down the fluctuation of life energy outside, and calmed the anger of the plane. This chapter is not finished, that there is still a considerable degree of risk in this touch. However, Tang San had expected it a long time ago, so he controlled it immediately, and no major problems occurred. Young Master Mei has also woken up at this time, and the sound transmission came over. "Honey, are you alright?" Tang San said. "It's okay, it's done. The Tower of Life has been officially completed. Well, I can feel that the concentration of the fairy air seems to be higher now. Will it dissipate?" Mei Gong asked. Tang San shook his head and said, "No, our time-space ring has always been the last barrier inside. The basis of the time-space ring is the time-space boundary marker, and even time and space can be isolated and controlled in the universe. We are going to start the real retreat." Yeah. Young Master Mei nodded, feeling a little agitated. Her excitement is not only because she is about to overcome the catastrophe and become an emperor, and develop towards the peak state of this plane, but also because of something more important to her. Chapter 1149. Tang San once told her that when she succeeds in crossing the tribulation, it is very likely that she will retrieve the memory of the previous life, overlap the memories of the two lives, and recall everything in the past. In the past, she was a little apprehensive about the memories of the past, but now they have long since disappeared. Instead, she can't wait to think about the past, and recall how he loved her in the previous life. She once asked him what was the difference between this life and the previous life, but he always smiled and didn't answer her. Just tell her that when she thinks about it, she can compare it by herself. Tang San came to her side and hugged her into his arms. Xiao Mei, do you know? I regret it a bit. Young Master Mei was taken aback. What do you regret? Tang San smiled softly. I regret marrying you first and then crossing the catastrophe. I actually don't want to cross the catastrophe now, do you know? While talking, he lowered his head and kissed her gently on the cheek. Young Master Mei's pretty face blushed suddenly. You are full of thoughts and you know you want to do bad things. Tang San smiled and said, Why is it a bad thing? Aren't you very happy? Shut up, you. A long time. What I just said is true. I actually really want to procrastinate for a little longer. From the time we got married until now, I really feel very happy. Very happy. Tang San whispered in her ear. Young Master Mei felt the heat blowing in his ears, and couldn't help shrinking his neck. Is it happier than in the previous life? Tang San said. It's a different kind of happiness. In my previous life, I was even busier than this life. At that time, I had many partners with me, and I had to bear greater responsibilities. In this life, in fact, my real responsibility is only you. I just came here for you and lived for you. In my previous life, I became the god of the sea and entered the god realm. Later, I became the god king and took charge of the god realm. I was busy almost every day. And Jingjing didn't spend much time with you. In the past month, we were the only ones in this blue gold palace, getting along day and night every day. And I could see you every moment. We are the only ones here. In the world, it seems that the exhaustion I have been in this world for 20 years has disappeared. My heart is rare to be peaceful, and I am surrounded by happiness. I really just want to be with you like this. Young Master Mei raised his hand, gently stroked his cheek and said softly, If you want to pass the tribulation later, then let's do it later. You're too tired. I still think about what you went through in your previous life. I can't get up, but you have done too much for me in this life, but I haven't done anything for you. Tang San held her hand. You are already by my side. What else do you need? Is there anything better than this? Anyway, I can't think of it. Xiao Mei, thank you very much. Thank you can be with me like this. I really love you. Me too. Young Master Mei pressed her cheeks tightly against his chest. Wasn't she always surrounded and filled with happiness during this period of time? However, we still have to start retreat preparations. I can already feel that the Shura Divine Sword and the Sea God Trident are getting closer and closer to us. Once they arrive and sense our existence, they will definitely want to be with us at all costs. Before we merge, we must be prepared to take over, otherwise there will be big problems in this plane. This chapter is not finished. Yeah. Anyway, I'll listen to you. Whatever you decide, I'll be with you. Young Master Mei nodded lightly. The corners of Tang San's mouth curved upward slightly. However, before that, I think it's okay to delay a day or half a day. No. The official completion of the Tower of Life not only had a great influence in the ancestral court, but also had a great influence in all the main cities of the fairy continent, so that the Tower of Life that had been built in these main cities more attention. The main cities have given as much resource support as possible. After the Towers of Life were installed in the main cities, under the auspices of the elders of the Blue Gold Tree Clan, the life energy of these main cities has been significantly improved, but the Towers of Life in these main cities have not yet been able to release. The life energy covered the entire main city, so in the main city, the closer to the Tower of Life, the denser the life energy. This has also triggered a lot of real estate competition. The leaders of the main cities had to take control, after the ancestral court vetoed the continued investigation of human beings by the great demon king of the Sky Fox, especially the investigation of young Master Mei. the ancestral court returned to peace. The emperors all stayed in the ancestral court council, silently guiding the pure life energy from the Tower of Life to absorb and cultivate, so as to enhance their vitality, make their bodies healthier and live longer. Die in this calm Tang San. And young Master Mei also started formal retreat. For them, the most important thing in this retreat is harmony. Reconcile the abilities you already have, and find the rules you want to touch, so that you can accept the test of the rules and the test of the plane when you become an emperor. In fact, the rules of Mr. Mei had already been chosen when she became the Demon King. She sits in the sea of consciousness with the divine sword of Shura. The divine sword of Shura is the sword of judgment and the sword of justice. This is the rule that the beautiful sun wants to touch. Judgment. Judge all the evils in the world and protect all the existences that need to be protected. For the plane, it is naturally the guardian plane. Therefore, after Mr. Mei began to retreat, he began to use his spiritual consciousness to accumulate the sword intent of the Azura divine sword with all his strength. The 3 major blood imprints of his own were all for this purpose. Keep. The power of the bloodline was stimulated by the Shura divine sword. And some subtle changes took place. With the backing of fairy spirit, she quickly entered into a very smooth process of entering concentration. Compared to young Master Mei, Tang San's retreat is much more complicated. He has too many bloodline imprints, including multiple super bloodlines. He had to integrate all these bloodline imprints. The reason why super bloodlines are not allowed to appear on Phelan Star is because the super bloodlines themselves have touched the existence of laws. Even the Emperor does not have the power of super blood. Relying on Tang San's deception of the Lord of the Plane, he allowed himself to have several super bloodlines. This is of course a good thing for his personal strength, but when he crosses the tribulation and becomes the Emperor, it is a huge risk. When he crosses the catastrophe, everything he owns will naturally be exposed to the gaze of the plane. At that time, all his abilities will not be able to cover up. When the catastrophe comes, he will use everything he has to face it. The pressure on the entire plane, so the difficulty for him to overcome the tribulation is definitely beyond the imagination of any emperor. This chapter is not finished. Of course, Tang San has the easiest way to overcome the tribulation, that is to wait for the arrival of the Sea God Trident. With the failure of the super artifact, although this plane itself is powerful, it cannot prevent the Sea God Trident from coming. It is also possible to suppress all bloodlines with the halberd, suppress Chang Huang Jia, and help Tang San recover his cultivation. But if this is the case, it will definitely bring a huge disaster to the entire Phelan Star. A super divine weapon, or the Beauty Sun Shura sword, that is 2 super divine weapons, forcibly breaking through the barriers of the planes, there will be extremely terrible natural disasters. At that time, not only the fairy continent but the entire Phelan Star will be devastated. This is something Tang San absolutely does not want to see, not to mention that the law of the universe will bring bad luck to them because of this. Just the loss of life is not something that Tang San's principles of life can allow. Chapter 1150. Harmonize Bloodline Chaos. This is why he has always had an important time point for his transcendence. It is not to wait for the arrival of the 2 super artifacts to complete the tribulation, but to complete the tribulation before the arrival of the 2 super artifacts, and then take the beautiful sun to meet the 2 super artifacts outside the sky, so as to restore the realm of the king outside the plane. Only in this way can it have the least impact on this plane. And if he wanted to survive the tribulation here, he would have to face tremendous pressure. This retreat is very important to him. Otherwise, he wouldn't take the risk of bringing out the fairy spirit. Tang San now has many bloodline imprints, including the Chaos Blue Silver Emperor sitting in the center, which is also his most powerful bloodline imprint. Under Tang San's deliberate cultivation, this bloodline imprint has also become the core of all his bloodlines. It is precisely under the control of the Chaos Blue Silver Emperor that so many bloodline imprints, including super bloodlines, can be controlled so calmly as if they were at the fingertips. After it, consonant Sky Eye, which is fused with the blood of the 7-colored deer Great Demon Emperor. This is also Tang San's extremely powerful bloodline. The real super blood can not only control and observe the luck, but also control the power of various elements with the consonant I. And this ability he has never used it until now and has been hiding it. But it was also with this ability that he was able to build a sea of elements for human beings, of course with the help of the heart of nature. After consonant Sky Eye, it is also a super bloodline Ji Meng transformation. The Jinming transformation made Tang San's body tough enough, with powerful power inside. His defensive power is even more astonishing, and it plays a vital role in the adjustment of his body. It can be said that without Jinming transformation, Tang San would not be able to bear so many powerful bloodline marks. Especially after having the Chaos Blue Silver Emperor, nourished by the Qi of Chaos, honed by the two Qis of Yin and Yang, Jinming Bian has become stronger and stronger now. Tang San can now feel that his current physique is much stronger than before becoming an emperor in his previous life. Then there is the crystal change. In a sense, the crystal transformation is also a super bloodline, because in his crystal transformation, the consciousness of the great crystal demon emperor himself sits in charge. Relying on the power of crystal transformation, the power to allow Tang San to have more blood. For many emperors, the oppressive power of crystal transformation is actually the greatest, mainly a deterrent effect. After that, there are various bloodline imprints such as Peacock Transformation, Time Transformation, Penglong Transformation, Phoenix Transformation, Guanglong Transformation, Liger Transformation, etc. There is no doubt that each of these bloodline marks is an extremely powerful existence. Of course, there is also a very important one, that Tang San was able to come to the present and establish the Blue Gold Palace in the ancestral court, which came from the Blue Gold transformation that the Blue Gold Tree clan had the Tree Ancestor brand. All 11 kinds of bloodline branding, each one taken alone is extremely powerful, and even has the possibility of cultivating an emperor. Not to mention gathering these 11 kinds of blood in one person. Since Tang San came to the ancestral court, the most used one is naturally the Blue Gold change. The most important reason why his Blue Gold transformation was able to produce such great power, even turning decay into magic, was the support of the Chaos Blue Silver Emperor behind it. Relying on the accumulation of the energy of chaos, the Blue Gold transformation can burst out such a powerful life energy, in addition to these 11 bloodline brandings. Through these bloodline brandings, Tang San also controlled various domain abilities. For example, he can almost use the killing domain, the polar domain of good and bad, and the domains that can be derived from major bloodlines. With so many abilities, although each of them is very powerful, Tang San can use his wisdom very well when actually applying them. However, when it comes to crossing the catastrophe, that's another matter. What he has to do now is to integrate all these bloodline imprints and make them into a more complete whole. This makes the power that you can use directly when you cross the catastrophe even stronger. Chapter 1151. Life is sublimating. For ordinary people, the feeling is not very deep. They only feel that in the ancestral courtyard, they feel comfortable physically and mentally every day, and practicing here will have the effect of getting twice the result with half the effort. The feeling of the spirits and monsters is particularly obvious. But for the emperors, the powerful spiritual sense allows them to feel the changes in the ancestral court all the time. Since the Tower of Life was established, the life energy in the ancestral court has become more and more intense. What's even more strange is that the various heaven and earth vitality in the ancestral court were somewhat mixed. But because of the arrival of this huge life energy, under the nourishment of the breath of life, these elements of various attributes began to become more and more pure, and even their levels were improved for the emperors. This is not just as simple as enhancing their vitality, but even their cultivation. It is not too deep for strong people like Tianyang Tianjinghuang and Immortal Demon Emperor who are already at the peak of the emperor. But for those existences with weaker cultivation bases, such as the great demon emperor Jingfeng, the feeling is extremely obvious and profound. Moreover, as Tang San and young master Mei began to retreat, the emperors also found that the life energy released from the Tower of Life was still increasing. Not only the total amount was increasing, but the quality was also improving. This discovery was absolutely shocking to them. Not only does it mean that Jean Mirolin is indeed constantly improving his own cultivation during the retreat, but it also means that this kind of life energy will help them more, allowing them to have more vitality to prolong their lives. The emperors are now even a little eager to switch to themselves to guard the Blue Gold Palace as soon as possible, because it will be the closest to the Blue Gold Palace, and the feeling will be the best. Guarding the Blue Gold Palace has changed from a task to a reward, and in order for the emperors to better absorb these high-level life energies, the ancestral court ordered that within 10 kilometers around the Blue Gold Palace, no life forms were allowed to approach. This is a strict order. Of course, they didn't know that the reason why the life energy released from the Tower of Life was continuously increasing was because Tang San's own primal chaos chi was increasing. Under the nourishment of the Qi of primal chaos, the breath of the blue gold brand is changing, and even the Tower of Life will naturally undergo such changes if there are emperors who can enter the blue gold palace at this time. Then they can feel what the world of gods is. In the blue gold palace, the air of fairy spirits permeates, and at the same time, there is also a strong life energy and the breath of the air of chaos. They are all the top energy existences. Young Master Mei was bathed in these energies and retreated, with a faint colored halo all over his body. The emperors are now more and more looking forward to Jin Miaolin's breakthrough into becoming an emperor as soon as possible. The benefits brought by him before becoming an emperor have been so great. Then, after becoming an emperor, what kind of freedom will he be able to bring to the ancestral court? To what extent? It can be said that it is unimaginable. Just as everyone was expecting it, half a year passed in the blink of an eye. The Blue Golden Palace has always been peaceful, and only the ever-increasing life energy allows all the strong people to clearly feel the existence of the couple. After half a year of continuous ascension, the emperors are a little confused now because according to their calculations, the strength of life that Jin Miaolin could bring after he reached the emperor. And now the Tower of Life has already achieved it in just half a year. The vitality of almost all the emperors increased by 100 years. Yes, a whole 100 years. This is undoubtedly of great help to existences such as the older Tianyang Tianjing Emperor and the immortal Demon Emperor. Being able to live 100 years longer means having more possibilities. What made them look forward even more was that Jin Miaolin hadn't become an emperor yet. Tianyang Tianjing Huang is the most excited one. The beginning, Jin Miaolin once told her that after he became emperor, the first emperor blue golden fruit he cultivated would be given to her as a gift. At that time, Tianyang Tianjing Huang was just happy, and the breath of life emitted by the Tower of Life is so strong. She was no longer just looking forward to that blue golden fruit. Chapter 1152. Chaos divides yin and yang. The next moment, he had already started to mobilize his extremely raised primal chaos qi, and reversely injected the primal chaos qi into the blue-silver emperor. Immediately, red and blue airflows surrounded the air of chaos and began to burst out. That is the qi of the most yin and yang. When Tang San completed the fusion of the blue-silver emperor and yin-yang qi, he created a super bloodline, thus giving birth to a little chaos qi. But now he reversed the qi of chaos and used the qi of chaos to amplify the two qis of yin and yang. The yin and yang qi were amplified by the chaotic qi, and suddenly exploded like a blowout, and Tang San's own aura also surged instantly. All the blood imprints in the body boiled at this moment, that if it weren't for the suppression of the blue-silver emperor's position, this action alone would likely cause riots, and thus lead to the emperor's calamity in an instant. The yin and yang qi were injected into the chaotic qi, like hot oil sprayed on a raging fire. Almost instantly, the red and blue color spread all over Tang San's body, and all the blood imprints were rendered by it. All along, the chaotic blue-silver emperor has been sitting in the center, and the yin and yang tu qi have contained other blood imprints, so that these blood imprints all contain some yin and yang tu auras. Once Tang San used these bloodline branding to fight, the power of the bloodline branding could be added to the aura of yin and yang at any time, thus unleashing a super powerful attack. Therefore, at this time, although all the brand marks carry the yin and yang qi, there is no mutated touch but a stronger aura. Containing spiritual consciousness, the first thing Tang San caught was the blue gold bloodline brand. Without any hesitation, led by yin and yang qi, the blue gold transformation was directly swallowed by the chaotic blue-silver emperor. The strong breath of life merged with the chaotic blue-silver emperor in an instant, making the chaotic blue-silver emperor brand more dazzling, especially the blue-golden light on it became more powerful. Although Lanjinbian is considered a first-level bloodline, if it does not have the brand of tree ancestors, it is definitely the weakest existence among the first-level bloodlines. Compared with the chaotic blue-silver emperor who is already full of chaos, it is even more powerful. Underground, being swallowed by this super bloodline at this time, naturally there is not much fluctuation. The mission of the blue gold transformation is over, and now it is directly absorbed by Tang San as a nutrient for the chaos blue-silver emperor, and it can also save him from touching a law of life when he crosses the catastrophe in the future. After devouring the blue gold transformation, Tang San's second bloodline imprint was the Phoenix transformation, or the Immortal transformation, but this time it wasn't devouring. Chaos was divided into yin and yang, and the qi of the supreme yang was suddenly injected into the phoenix transformation. Immediately, the bloodline branding of the entire phoenix transformation became blazing, bursting with dazzling brilliance. Under the strong injection of the qi of the supreme yang, it began to subtly change. There are changes. At the same time, Tang Sen also released a stream of yin qi, and the direction of this qi of yin injection was Penglong Bian. The Penglong, which combines the two bloodlines of the golden winged rock and the wind dragon, turned blue in an instant. One yin and one yang, one dragon and one phoenix. The two major bloodline imprints were baptized by the most yin and the most yang at the same time, and the sound of dragons and phoenixes echoed faintly in Tang San's body. This is how he sorts out the imprint of his own blood. Minimize the existence of individual laws in the blood as much as possible. Those who can be blended from the most yin to the yang are integrated into the most yin to yang. The most yin and yang based on the energy of chaos are the laws of heaven and earth, and they must be touched when he crosses the calamity. Integrating other bloodline imprints into the Q of yin to yang will also be considered as an existence within the law of yin and yang, not a separate existence. The relatively weak bloodline imprints of Lan Jinbian are directly used as a supplement to the chaotic blue-silver emperor. These relatively powerful bloodline imprints are directly infused with stronger yin and yang forces. Of course, the balance in the body must be maintained. The one responsible for maintaining the balance is naturally Tang San's other powerful bloodline brand, Lingxi Tianyan. Chapter 1153, Hamami Shintai. And Tang San gave her control of 5 of his own bloodline imprints, including a super bloodline. This trust also moved her, and she made up her mind even more to accompany Tang San in the fight to become an emperor at all costs, and set foot on the passage leading to another world. Jingjing succeeded Tang San in control. What Tang San was in charge of was just continuously injecting yin and yang into the crystal transformation. At the same time, he controlled the other 3 bloodline imprints. All the bloodline imprints began to show some strange changes. From the original center and the outer circle, it gradually changed into a humanoid shape. The chest is branded with the blood of the Chaos Blue-Silver Emperor, and the head is branded with the blood of the Consonant Sky Eye. The time-changing bloodline imprint is the arms, and the 5 major imprints of the yin and yang camp dragged by the crystal-changing bloodline imprint are the driving and legs. A strangely colored little person appeared in Tang San's dantian. Various bloodline imprints operate stably under the constant adjustment of the air of chaos. The upper body is mainly controlled by Tang San himself, and the lower body is controlled by Jingjing in his place. At the beginning, this human form was only a very vague existence, and gradually the human form gradually began to become clear, presenting Tang San's appearance like a miniature version of him. Cross-legged in the dantian, strange lights of different colors radiate from behind. Behind the head is a circle of colorful light wheels, the chest is a vast white light, and behind the arms are silver and distorted halos. The torso and the back of the legs are blue and red respectively. Colorful white, silver, illusory twists plus red and blue, all kinds of light gathered behind him, forming a strange scene of illusion. And Tang San's aura also stabilized accordingly. Under the pressure of the sea god position, the previously unstable energy gradually developed in a stable and peaceful direction. This time, the huge chaotic energy condensed before played a vital role. The energies contained in each of these bloodline marks are extremely huge, and their attributes are different. Tang San forcibly combed these different attributes together, divided them into yin and yang, and then unified them. Such a huge project not only caused a huge impact on his body, but also the various brands collided with each other trying to explode. Tang San used Jingjing as part of the control, and himself as the main control, concentrating his spiritual consciousness to fully control it. And it plays the role of reconciliation, and it is the Qi of Chaos that is still cultivating the latest form Dharma body while reconciling. Any kind of bloodline brand has a strong affinity for the Qi of Primal Chaos, including Yin and Yang Qi. With the support of the huge chaos, this newly formed Dharma body barely maintained stability. Continue to cultivate and let its stability gradually increase. Until the beginning, this body was like Tang San's, and from time to time, a certain place would burst into light. Tang San needed to immediately concentrate his consciousness and chaotic energy, use the time-space ring to slow down its eruption, smooth out its disorder, and then stabilize it. At the same time, the air of chaos is also circulating inside, trying to get through the Dharma body itself. Let the power of these various bloodlines begin to develop in the direction of integration. Outside, there is the position of sea god to suppress, and inside, there is the chi of chaos to nourish and dredge, plus the control of Tang San's own space-time ring, Jingjing's auxiliary control. Only then did this miraculous Dharma body gradually take shape. There is no doubt that this is by no means the power that should appear on this plane. If Tang San didn't have a huge primal chaos chi, he would not be able to control it himself. However, with the gradual stabilization of the Dharma body, Tang San himself also began to have a reborn change. The whole person exudes a strange brilliance. The body and the Dharma body blend with each other, and the Dharma body gradually begins to refine the power in these blood imprints, take the essence and discard the dross, continuously cultivate and integrate. Young Master Mei was guarding beside him at this time. In her eyes, Tang San constantly exuded a strange brilliance. At the beginning, the brilliance often flickered unsteadily. Gradually, the brilliance began to stabilize. The seven-colored light wheel flickered behind his head, and a white halo hovered around his chest. The infiltration exudes red and blue colors, and the yin and yang are in balance. There is a faint radiance seeping from the corners of the closed eyes. Chapter 1154. Chenghuang ascends to robbery. The sky was gloomy, there was no sunlight, but there were no dark clouds either. But the terrifying oppressive force caused the emperors in the air to start to lower their heights, and the pressure was only reduced by a few points until they were lower than the height of the Blue Gold Palace. It is true that we are going to cross the catastrophe. Why is there so much pressure? Tianyang Tianjinghuang was shocked. They have all been through the tribulation before, so they naturally know what it is like to become an emperor. The normal Chenghuang tribulation is divided into two stages. The first stage is called the landing tribulation, that is to say, the test of the plane that the strong will face when ascending from the realm of the Great Demon King or the Great Essence King to the level of the Emperor. At the beginning, the Great Elder of the Dragon Clan failed to survive the calamity and was forcibly suppressed. Although he did not die, he was also seriously injured. Under normal circumstances, if you can't get through the catastrophe, you are almost certain to die. But at this moment the gloomy sky seemed to be continuously collapsing downwards. Even the emperors felt oppressed in their hearts, their consciousness was stirred up, and they even felt terrified. They all survived the landing tribulation. They are already emperors, logically speaking, at least at the level of ascending to the robbery, it will not have any influence on them. But at this moment the landing tribulation has not really come yet, and the pressure it brings is already so great. How can the emperors not be secretly shocked? The Tower of Life didn't seem to feel anything about it. The seven-colored halo still radiated outwards, and the Blue Golden Palace also exuded a faint blue-golden radiance, no different from usual. Suddenly, a buzz sounded without any warning. The appearance of this buzzing instantly shocked the entire ancestral courtyard. In fact, it was not just the ancestral courtyard. In the perception of the divine senses of the emperors, almost all the places where their spiritual consciousness went were buzzing with this humming. Under the influence of it was as if the entire fairy continent was trembling because of this. They felt the anger, not their own anger, but the anger from the sky, which seemed to come from the entire plane. Accompanied by the appearance of that buzzing sound, the Blue Gold Palace Tower of Life was the first to bear the brunt. The colorful halo that had been absorbing various attribute elements suddenly collapsed for a moment, and then took shape again. The emperors are all pale at this time. What is this boarding calamity? How could there be such a big horror? Under normal circumstances, ascending to the calamity refers to ascending to the sky, and the plane will drop a strong oppressive force. The strong who are about to cross the calamity will face such oppressive force, and ascend to the sky step by step. When it exceeds a certain range, usually 3,000 when the altitude is about 1 meter, breaking through the pressure barrier is considered a successful landing. Then face the second stage of Chenghuang Jia. The process of ascending to the robbery cannot be disturbed. Once it is disturbed, it will fail. And this process is generally relatively long. During the entire ascent process, the body of the strong will continue to transform under the pressure of the plane, and gradually enter the emperor's level. But at this moment, Tang San or Young Master Mei hadn't even started to ascend. The oppressive force in the sky was already terrifying. How can this be boarded up? In the sky, it seemed that the plane had turned into an invisible monster, as if it was going to swallow the Tower of Life. The terrifying pressure made all the buildings in the ancestral courtyard tremble slightly. This chapter is not finished. All the emperors join hands to protect the ancestral court. The Sky Fox Demon Emperor shouted in a deep voice. In the next moment, all the emperors shot out one after another, releasing their own aura. The grand array of the ancestral court was activated, forming a faint halo, starting from the holy mountain around the ancestral court, enveloping the ancestral court, and the oppressive force no longer continued to affect the ancestral court. Otherwise, the weak in the ancestral court will suffer. Such a huge pressure is likely to cause irreparable damage to them. At this moment, a beam of white light shone on the top of the 13th floor of the Tower of Life. Immediately afterwards, the colorful rays of light surrounding the Tower of Life quickly gathered and rose into the air, turning into a beam of light. The stairs go straight up, and this ladder has only risen 100 meters, but the oppressive force in the sky has increased suddenly, and the oppressive ladder began to become distorted and illusory, turning into smoke and dust. The eyes of the emperors were all fixed on the Tower of Life for a moment, and they understood that this was a sign that the ascension was about to begin. Silver light flickered, and two figures quietly appeared above the top of the Tower of Life, surrounded by thick colorful halos around their bodies. Apart from being able to vaguely see two figures, they couldn't see their appearance clearly. Brother Baihu, what is that colorful light? It doesn't feel like Jin Miaolin and Xiaomei's bloodline ability. Do you know what rules they are trying to break? The Immortal Demon Emperor was with the White Tiger Demon Emperor at this time, also concerned about the situation at this time. The White Tiger Demon King shook his head and said, Jin Miaolin's abilities are emerging one after another. Who knows what kind of moth this kid has made? With such a big fluctuation in the plane, the rules they touched must be quite extraordinary. The Immortal Demon Emperor said in a deep voice, It's really not possible. Let's make a way for him. There is a shortcut to ascending to Jia, that is, the emperors open the way. Let the existence that has become the emperor open the way for the robbers, so that they can complete the boarding process more smoothly. There are advantages and disadvantages to doing this, and the advantage is that it is easier to become an emperor, but once the pressure of landing is not enough, the power of the second stage of becoming an emperor will drop sharply, so that the emperor will go through the baptism of the sky. Even if he becomes an emperor, his strength will be weak. At the beginning, the great demon emperor Jingfeng nearly failed in crossing the tribulation, but it was the great demon emperor Crystal Phoenix and the great immortal demon emperor who opened the way for him to protect the way, so he barely succeeded. But the landing tribulation that the great demon emperor Jingfeng faced back then was nothing compared to the terrifying pressure in front of him. At that time, the emperors even stood at the top of Danglinji and waited for him, and now the terrifying oppressive force coming from the sky. Even emperors as powerful as Tianyang and Immortal would not dare to easily go above 1,000 meters, lest they be passed on by the catastrophe. To this moment, Tang San's voice resounded through the ancestral court. Everyone, Xiaomei and I ascended to become emperor today. We will walk this road to heaven together. Please don't interfere. Let us step into the emperor's level with our own efforts. Today we ascend together. What? The immortal demon emperor exclaimed in surprise. They want to board together? At this moment, all the emperors were beyond shocked. At this time, the pressure of the catastrophe in the sky is already so great that one person will have to face tremendous pressure to cross the catastrophe. If two people go through the catastrophe together, it means that the failure of the catastrophe will increase dramatically. There has never been any record of beings who survived the robbery at the same time in the history of the ancestral court. This chapter is not finished. Is this kid crazy? Tianyang Tianjinghuang couldn't help but said in surprise. But at this moment those two figures had already taken the first step. Boom! The sky shook violently, and the 7-colored stairs collapsed in front of the two of them in an instant. The entire sky seemed to have become distorted at this moment, and the huge oppressive force made the ancestral court tremble under the protection of the emperors. Yes, Tang San and young Master Mei are going through tribulation together at this time. This step taken by the two at the same time also means the beginning of everything. The powerful oppressive force impacted on them and washed everything about them. That huge pressure is so suffocating. At this moment, Mei Gongzi even felt that they were against the whole world. Tang San held her left hand, turned his head and smiled slightly at her. At this time he was exactly Tang San's appearance. The blue-gold transformation had been swallowed by the Chaos Blue-Silver Emperor, so naturally he could no longer become a member of the Blue-Gold Tree clan appearance. Chapter 1155. Element Open Circuit. The reason why young Master Mei was allowed to go through the tribulation with him was not only because of confidence, but also because of worry. The catastrophe that young Master Mei would face with becoming emperor with the Azura Excalibur was no small matter. He was in no danger, that's why he took her through the tribulation and endured the pressure with her. It can even be said to be in control of the pressure she is under. The sky seems to have been broken at this time, and there is a cosmic void looming in the distorted light and shadow shatter the void. Even the most powerful crystal demon emperor back then never had such a scene when he crossed the tribulation. All the emperors were shocked at this moment. Is it really possible to survive such a catastrophe? And if they survive such a catastrophe after becoming emperors, their future potential is likely to exceed that of the former crystal demon emperor. Without a pause, Tang San took the second step with Mr. Mei, and under the oppression of that distorted space, the seven-colored light formed under his feet again, turning into a ladder, allowing them to stand on the second step. Although the colorful lights around their bodies are constantly fluctuating and twisting, they are very stable. There was a white halo in Tang San's eyes. It was the power of the consonant I. The element opened the way. The third step is taken and the ladder is completed again. He just pulled the beautiful young master and walked into the void step by step. The distorted sky and huge pressure constantly acted on them, making everything around them look distorted and bizarre. However, only the steps that have already been stepped are still stable, and have not been broken by the impact of pressure. The Tower of Life in the Blue Gold Palace continuously aroused seven-colored halos upwards, following them like the tail flames of Tang San and young Master Mei. Please download the novel app iRead app to read the latest content. At this time the Emperor also saw some clues. Although Tang San and young Master Mei were under enormous pressure, they were being supplemented by the Tower of Life. Under pressure the body transforms, but the consumption of the body can be replenished in time. Therefore, it seems that the shattered void is so terrifying, but their pace is still very steady, relying on the power of one's own imperial palace to overcome the tribulation. This is also a situation that has never occurred in the history of the ancestral family. Is this okay? Why didn't we think of it? Dean Tianjinghuang said beside Tianyang Tianjinghuang. The great demon king Tianhu sighed. They are too courageous. Not only did they overcome the tribulation together, but they also attracted such a powerful ascending calamity. This ascending calamity is so strong, it may also be related to them using the Tower of Life. It is the Tower of Life that is connected to their aura, which attracts such a strong ascending robbery. Tianyang Tianjinghuang nodded and said, it's probably on purpose. That's why he just said that he doesn't need our help, but he is very confident. They are all people who have experienced it, and they all know that the more powerful the Changhuang tribulation is, the greater the benefits they will get after crossing the tribulation. Generally, when the strong are going through the tribulation, they wish that the power of becoming an emperor will be less powerful. As long as they can become an emperor, they will reach the sky in one step. Fortunately, they took the initiative to arouse the power of the catastrophe stronger, and endured a greater baptism of the catastrophe. Isn't that audacity? But what they didn't know was that for Tang San and young Master Mei, even if they didn't do this, heavenly tribulation would still be of the highest standard. Who made Tang San not belong to this plane? The reason why the master of the plane was angry was not because of the Tower of Life, but because he felt that Tang San, an outsider, had actually inspired the heart of nature to release a simplified version of fairy spirit, plus the induction of super artifacts. The super artifact can destroy the plane. Once the super artifact really arrives, Phalanxing will be in danger. After the heart of nature is aroused, it will definitely be affected to a certain extent, which will damage the future advancement of the plane to the God realm. That's why this landing tribulation is so terrifying. Tang San dragged Mr. Mei up step by step, surrounded by a violently distorted space. The powerful oppressive force made the colorful lights on their bodies flicker constantly, but their upward steps were very steady. The beautiful sun can feel the pressure coming on him, constantly washing his body, but the rich fairy spirit is constantly replenished while being consumed, so that his body can be continuously repaired while being baptized and hold state. That's right. That seems to be the colorful energy condensed from various attributes. But what is wrapped inside is Tang San's simplified version of the fairy spirit that Tang San guided from the Blue Gold Palace, or from the heart of nature. Gas. This is also the reason for the plane's anger. Tang San had to do this. Crossing the tribulation is a process of transformation for him and young Master Mei. It must be transformed enough to be able to truly fuse with the super artifact when their super artifact arrives. Otherwise, the body cannot bear it, and they will not be able to return to the level of the king. Needless to say, return to the Douluo plane. The current him is no longer the time to carefully face the pressure of the plane and face the catastrophe when he was going through the 9 heavens and 10 earths annihilation god tribulation. He already has full confidence and is well prepared. Tang San endured most of the pressure, and just rightly let Mr. Mei bear enough pressure that she could barely bear. Under his precise control, his body is constantly being baptized and improved during the ascension process. This is also the reason why he dragged Mr. Mei through the tribulation together, so as to ensure her condition more that in the blink of an eye. They had walked up 100 meters. Because of the distortion of the sky, the emperors could only see the 7-colored stairs spreading upwards in that distorted light. They really dare. For the emperors, there is no rush to admire them in their hearts at this moment. Such a catastrophe is really unprecedented. The sky became darker and darker. If ordinary emperors stirred up the situation when they crossed the tribulation, then their crossing the broken void was like a miracle. The higher you go, the greater the pressure. It is obviously not an easy task to break through this pressure. Tang San's right hand grasped empty. The red and blue airflow began to circle around the body. The yin and yang tu qi were channeled. Opened the passage ahead for them. Young Master Mei followed him and resisted the pressure to climb up. While looking at him piquingly, under the cover of the light, Tang San's side face looked more handsome, with a more peaceful feeling. This peace made her feel very at ease. The man beside me always makes me feel safe. Seemingly sensing young Master Mei's gaze, Tang San also turned his head to look at her, and smiled. "Are you okay?" Young Master Mei also responded with a smile, and squeezed his palm tightly. "Very good." Her smile and words made the smile on Tang San's face more intense, and even accelerated his pace a bit. For her sake, what about fighting against the entire plane? The stairs in the sky began to change strangely. The original 7-color stairs gradually turned into red and blue 2-color stairs. The colors were more brilliant and seemed more stable. It's just that under the pressure of the distorted sky, the emperors couldn't feel the attribute of the discolored energy. It was only shocking to find that the climbing speed of Tang San and Mr. Mei seemed to be still accelerating. The height of the Blue Golden Palace itself is only 800 meters, and with the Tower of Life it is about 900 meters high. At this time they have climbed up to more than 300 meters, which means they have reached an altitude of more than 1,000 meters. There is still a long way to go, but it seems that their steps are steady and fast, as if this landing is nothing at all. The White Tiger Demon Emperor shook his head. "I don't understand, I really don't understand." Although he said so, his eyes were full of excitement and anticipation. The stronger Tang San is, the more likely it is that his promise to himself will be fulfilled. Is it really possible to leave this plane and go to the real God realm? Chapter 1156. Crystal Dragon. Originally for him this was just a hope, and he didn't take it too seriously. It really made him take this matter seriously. It was the moment he felt the fairy spirit in the Longines Palace that day. 300 meters, 500 meters. Blue and red, surrounded by yin and yang, lead them to rush higher into the air. That staircase is even more dazzling. The shattered void in the sky churned more and more violently, and the entire plane seemed to be frantically strangling and impacting them. It seems as if they must be destroyed. But in the face of such pressure, what the emperors can see is that the 2-color ladder continues to rise steadily, and then upwards. Finally, they reach 2,000 meters in the air. The 2-color ladder finally came to a halt. Seeing this, the emperors couldn't help but tremble in their hearts. Stopping in the process of boarding Jia is the worst situation because once you stop, it will be very difficult to think of starting again. The great demon King Jingfeng clenched his fists nervously. He had stopped when he was climbing to Jia, and after he stopped he raised his leg again to start, but he was forced to go back. In the end, it was finally boarded under the opening of the 2 great demon emperors. However, the next moment, a scene that shocked all the emperors appeared. The distorted void suddenly became sluggish, and the originally violent fluctuations became calm in an instant. This time they seemed to be able to see clearly the figures of Tang San and young Master Mei, but it was as if separated by water waves. Less than the real appearance. Artifact. The Skyfox Demon Emperor blurted out. Of course you can use the divine weapon when crossing the catastrophe, and it is also a kind of baptism for the divine weapon. But what kind of artifact is this? It was able to make the shattered void calm down in an instant. This is really incredible. The broken void suddenly became calm and everything naturally became easier. Young Master Mei only felt that the surrounding pressure had lightened, and the baptism from Deng Linjia was still there, but there was no barrier to their upward movement. At this moment, on the two hands clasped tightly, the ring of time and space shone with a strange brilliance, which was the power of the Tower of Time and Space. Even in Denglinji, under the full use of this powerful artifact, there was a temporary calm. "Let's run," Tang San said with a smile. In the next instant, Tang San and young Master Mei ran wildly in the sky. The steps under the feet spread rapidly, still red and blue, but with a faint silver-white halo. The emperors were all stunned below. Is it still possible to run when you land on a robbery? What is this all about? What kind of artifact is that, so powerful that it can make them run wildly during the tribulation? Seeing that the upward ladder was spreading upwards at a speed more than 10 times faster than before, the emperors suddenly felt like they had seen each other for a long time. How much shock will these two young people bring to them? The broken void is distorted and slow, but it seems to be struggling angrily, breaking free from the slowness little by little. But this struggle took quite a long time, so that when the anger of the void broke out again, Tang San has already brought the young master to 1,000 meters high, reaching an altitude of 3,000 meters. Logged in successfully? The emperors thought subconsciously, but the next moment, they discovered that the angry shattered void made the entire sky appear as if there were countless monsters, and they rushed towards them crazily. This is not a success, but even more violent. 3,000 meters is not the end of their climbing calamity. The sudden surge of pressure immediately made Tang San and young Master Mei pause again. Even the space-time ring had a tendency to be irresistible to this impact, and the huge oppressive force crazily squeezed their bodies, causing the beauty to feel a strong sense of suffocation. The three major bloodline imprints in the body were running crazily, and the Azura Divine Sword released traces of sword intent, which barely resisted this strong oppression. "Shalikome," young Master Mei said to Tang San. "No need for now, I'll continue." Tang San's voice was still steady, facing the strong impact. His eyes burst out with a divine light. "Jingjing, ascending dragon." Bright brilliance erupted from Tang San's dantian suddenly. A layer of crystal-like shell instantly covered their bodies. The pressure was still there, but the sense of shock disappeared instantly. The blue and red rays of light instantly erupted into a brilliant light and shadow that was several times stronger than before. Young Master Mei only felt the blazing chi and blood fluctuations bursting out from Tang San beside her, and through the link of the necklace of praying for spiritual life she also felt that her body suddenly became tyrannical as if injected with a booster. The intensity and flushing of the baptism, and the strong oppressive force of the shattered void even made her feel a little comfortable. Ong! The passionate dragon chant resounded high in the sky, even in the broken void. It could be heard clearly. A huge dragon just appeared around Tang San and young Master Mei's bodies. The light and shadow of the huge dragon enveloped them. The whole body of the huge dragon was crystal clear. As if carved from crystal, the red and blue colors complemented each other. Angangang. The three dragon chants were deafening, and all the dragons in the ancestral courtyard at this time felt their blood was boiling. Even Suan Yu, who was flying towards the ancestral courtyard at the fastest speed, felt the catastrophe coming from afar, felt his own blood veins seem to be stimulated by something. Outside the Blue Gold Palace, the fierce dragon Thanos who coiled around and guarded the Blue Gold Palace couldn't help but raise its head at this time, making a sky-shattering dragon chant. The two-color crystal dragon's body shone with intense brilliance, sweeping Tang San and young Master Mei's bodies. The 100-meter-long body of the dragon suddenly vibrated, and suddenly, the twisted and broken void around it was forcibly opened up by it. Accompanied by the passionate dragon chant, it led Tang San and young Master Mei soaring upwards. Yes, this is Jingjing's power, but it's not just her own power. It also comes with Tang San's 5 major bloodlines that differentiate yin and yang. The light dragon becomes the guardian of light, and the phoenix becomes the blazing flame. Each of these is an extremely powerful ability. Coupled with Jingjing's control, that formidable force forcibly got rid of the surrounding restrictions, Just like that led Tang San and young Master Mei to skyrocket. Tang San closed his eyes, and a vertical eye quietly appeared on his forehead, a faint white light radiated, and the domain of good and bad poles opened. Seek good fortune and avoid evil. There were some strange changes quietly in the distorted and broken void, and the terrifying power was forced out of a passage by the crystal dragon. Under the crystal dragon, a series of steps continued to form, and they rushed upwards faster than before. It took almost a few breaths before he rushed up 1,000 meters again, and then the speed began to slow down a bit, but it was still flying upwards at an astonishing speed. Seeing this, the emperors below were even a little numb. How did he do that? Can the inheritance of the great crystal demon emperor be so powerful? This unscientific, however, the fact is that it is in front of us. Seeing it, Crystal Dragon had already led Tang San and young Master Mei to a height of more than 5,000 meters. However, the tribulation of landing had not ended even after exceeding 5 kilometers, and the twisted void even chased their bodies and oppressed them crazily. Could it be that because the two of them crossed the tribulation at the same time, there is no end to the tribulation of ascending? Gradually, the light on the Crystal Dragon's body began to dim gradually, and the spreading speed of the crystal clear stairs began to slow down gradually, but it is still flying upwards vigorously. For Jingjing, is this not a baptism? Even if she only has spiritual consciousness, this extremely rare ascending calamity is of great help to her. Chapter 1157 Ladder. The pride of the former first emperor made her lead Tang San and young Master Mei to continue upwards firmly, and she herself endured a huge impact. Under the baptism of the pressure of climbing thousands of meters in this short period of time, Tang San and young Master Mei began a comprehensive transformation of their bodies, and everything in their bodies began to change subtly. Get rid of the mortal body and start to move towards a higher level. Tang San once carefully felt the strength and physical strength of the emperor level of this plane. Although Phalanxing is not in the god realm and does not have the position of a god, but after the emperor passed through the calamity of becoming an emperor, in fact, in terms of strength, he is already comparable to the second-level gods in the god realm. The pinnacle emperor has even touched the level of a first-level god. Of course, if they reach the real god realm and are nourished by the spirit of the gods, their bodies will evolve and reorganize, and their cultivation base will drop by 1 level. However, even the level of the 11th order Great Demon King and Great Essence King are actually not up to the standards of the god realm, not because of combat effectiveness, but because of the level. Therefore, becoming an emperor on this plane is equivalent to stepping into another level, which is the sublimation of life. At this moment, Tang San's and young Master Mei's bodies began to become somewhat transparent. Their whole bodies were being improved silently, under the baptism of that huge pressure, under the oppression of shattered void. They were rapidly transforming. Tang San's feeling was the most obvious. The sea god in his body began to fuse with this body in a true sense, not just existing in the consciousness. Transcending the catastrophe to become the emperor is also becoming after transcending the catastrophe, returning towards his seat of the sea god. Finally, when the crystal dragon climbed to about 6,000 meters, it couldn't bear it anymore. Crystal's body began to tremble violently, and it became difficult to move forward 1 meter. But the oppressive force in the sky continued unabated. The closer to the sky, the greater the pressure of the shattered void, as if it was squeezed from the void in the universe, making the crystal-like light constantly flicker. Xiaomei, get ready, it's your turn. Tang San's voice sounded in young Master Mei's ear. Young Master Mei nodded vigorously. Her body was also constantly transforming, and in the process of transformation, she could clearly feel the sword intent of Shura Excalibur becoming more and more closely integrated with her. It really seemed to have melted for a part of my body. Taking a deep breath, taking advantage of Jingjing's last insistence, young Master Mei let go of Tang San's hand, clasped both hands above his head, and a blood-red light shot into the sky. The mighty sword intent of the Azura Divine Sword erupted without the slightest reservation. The moment the sky-shattering sword light appeared, Jingjing turned into a streamer and returned to Tang San's body. Immediately, enormous pressure directly squeezed Tang San and young Master Mei's bodies. And at this moment, the Shura Divine Sword in the hands of young Master Mei has already been cut into the air. The sky trembled. The void that was originally shattered was shattered again. A neat cut was cut out abruptly, having practiced in seclusion for such a long time, and cultivated the Azura Divine Sword for such a long time. With this sword, the beauty's vigor and spirit have climbed to the peak. Even her skin has been rendered red. Body and sword merged into one, turning into a shocking red light soaring into the sky. Level after level of red stairs quickly spread to the air. Tang San followed closely behind, and young Master Mei led the way. After the two surpassed 6,000 meters, they were soaring again. The closer the main body of the Azura Divine Sword is to this plane, the stronger the sword intent of the Azura Divine Sword in Mr. Mei's body. At this moment, she who cut out this sword only felt exhilarated, overcoming thorns and thorns, going forward without hesitation. The two figures rushed forward on the blood-red stairs, and when the shattered void in the air tried to block them, they were shattered by the shocking sword light's point 7,000 meters, 8,000 meters, until it was close to 9,000 meters. The sword's power gradually weakened, but before the surrounding shattered void closed, a white vortex appeared on Tang San's chest, and the incomparably rich chaotic air struck backwards, instantly covering young Master Mei. Chapter 1158. Heaven and Earth Catastrophe. The pressure suddenly became magnificent at this moment. Invisibly, there seemed to be a huge mighty force in the world roaring at them. You must not become emperors. But at this moment Tang San suddenly raised his head, golden light burst out in his eyes, unprecedented majesty burst out instantly behind him. An illusory golden light and shadow suddenly appeared, and the sacred dragon gun also appeared in his grasp, point before the end of the gun, and point above the last step. Suddenly, the void shook violently, and a golden halo bloomed from the end of the gun. The next moment Tang San had already stepped forward with young Master Mei, and stood firmly on the last step. How can the majesty of the sea god be suppressed by the plane? At this moment, Tang San had a showdown. Boom 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 boom. The color of the sky and the earth changed, and the entire sky turned purple-black at this instant. Tang San and young Master Mei were like enlightened at this time. Countless fresh air poured into their bodies from the sky, washing their bodies and soaking their spiritual consciousness. The light on his body rose like smoke. The boarding robbery is over. At this moment they are already the real emperors, and the next thing they will face is the heaven and earth thunder tribulation after the landing tribulation. Landing calamity is promotion, and heaven and earth calamity is baptism. After being tempered by the heaven and earth thunder tribulation, they can be regarded as true emperors. Climbed to the sky at a height of 10,000 meters. At this time the heaven and earth calamity they faced also came from this. Thunder is not only above the higher sky but also in all directions. Those terrifying dark purple thunderbolts appeared almost instantly, without giving them any respite at all. Boom! There was a violent roar, and streaks of purple thunder rushed over Tang San's hand. The sacred dragon spear circled, the sky was round. Brutally received all the first wave of thunder. But he and young Master Mei are surrounded by purple electricity. Tang San suddenly felt that his sea god position became brighter and more transparent under the stimulation of the thunder. The power of this heaven and earth tribulation is huge, but it is also extremely beneficial to them who have just become emperors. This is the purest energy in this plane. If you want to destroy them, the energy intensity will naturally be huge, even surpassing the original 9 heavens and 10 earths annihilation. However, the current Tang San is no longer the original Tang San. Although he has not yet recovered to the level of the king, but the moment he completed the ascension to the catastrophe, he was already the real sea god. A circle of red halo also surrounded the next moment, and Mr. Mei also made a move. At this time her eyes were shining with a somewhat complicated brilliance. Just when she took the last step, she seemed to see some strange scenes, and those pictures kept flashing in her mind like real influences. But in the face of the great catastrophe of heaven and earth, she didn't dare to look at it carefully. It was also the Xianyuan of heaven, the Xianyuan of heaven in the version of the Azura Excalibur. Tang San held the sacred dragon spear high, brilliant golden light burst out. The sacred dragon spear bathed in the thunder began to change, transforming into the appearance of a golden trident. Circles of golden halo spread outward. When the golden halo came into contact with the berserk purple thunders, they even rendered them purple gold. This scene was extremely shocking. As the golden light went away, it didn't seem to have any blocking effect on these thunders, and it was the Azura Excalibur that barely resisted the thunders. However, at the next moment, there was almost only 3 breaths. In the sky, a layer of blue has already begun to appear. It was a blue color composed of countless tiny blue light spots. These blue lights, combined with gold, turned into a faint blue-gold color, coming towards Tang San like a sea embracing all rivers. It is also blue-gold, but this time it is no longer the blue-gold color of the blue-gold tree clan, but comes from the endless blue sea, the power of faith from countless sea clans. Chapter 1159, Shao Wu returns. Seeing him in her eyes, the increasingly intense sense of intimacy even made her feel as if she wanted to fully integrate into his body. Tang San let go of the sea god trident with his right hand, and pressed his palm downwards. Immediately, in the blue-gold palace, a mass of colorful light suddenly shot up into the sky, instantly crossing a distance of 10,000 meters, covering him and young Master Mei. Immediately, young Master Mei only felt his body lighten, and the oppression that caused his body to be on the verge of collapse just now disappeared, and under the infusion of this colorful light, his whole body seemed to become more relaxed, unspeakably comfortable. Fairy spirit. 10 times stronger fairy air than the one used in the blue-gold palace before. It was the fairy spirit Tang San guided directly from the heart of nature. But when this fairy air was injected into their bodies, the surrounding heaven and earth catastrophe suddenly began to loosen, and the crazy offensive that was originally at all costs also slowed down. Tang San used his actions to tell the entire Phelan Star Plane that he can completely control the heart of nature now. If the planes continue to oppress him, he will continue to oppress the heart of nature until the cornerstone of the God realm is completely broken. But in the process of consuming the heart of nature, they were infiltrated with the spirit of the fairy, and their cultivation base continued to rise. Consciousness returned to the gods. Tang San could already feel his real super divine weapon with the sea god trident in his hand. Vaguely, 9 days away, a faint golden light began to cover the direction of Phelan's star, accompanied by a red light that seemed to be able to destroy everything. Back then, Tang San had told Su Qin that he had a fixed date when he and young Master Mei crossed the catastrophe, and it had to be completed within this time. And this time is not because they will go through the tribulation more smoothly, but because they must go through the tribulation at this time in order to protect the plane of Phalanxing from being destroyed. Whether it's the Sea God Trident or the Azure Excalibur, these two super divine weapons were the existences controlled by Tang San and young Master Mei in their previous lives. They feel the inspiration from Tang San and his wife, and they have been searching and approaching in the universe looking for them. When these two super artifacts really come to the plane of Phelan Star, they will not be taboo about having any impact on the plane, and they will only return to their places at the first time. The arrival of the two super artifacts is unimaginable for Phalanxing, and even destroying the entire plane is not impossible. In the Douluo God realm where Tang San resides, the Shura Excalibur can be called the number 1 artifact, the strongest super artifact. Tang San's Sea God Trident was no different. With the arrival of such two super artifacts, what will FA launching do? Therefore, Tang San and young Master Mei must choose to cross the catastrophe at this time, for them not only become emperors but also become gods. Only after truly recovering the level of gods, can Tang San remotely control the two super artifacts to wait in outer space, instead of invading into Phelan Star to destroy the plane. This is the real reason why he chooses to cross the catastrophe today. At this moment, when the Lord of the Plains was trying to crush them at all costs and completely destroy them, Tang San was telling the Lord of the Plains why he will choose to cross the catastrophe at this moment. He can control two super artifacts to wait for their return in outer space, and he can also control two super artifacts to come to this plane. The great tribulation of heaven and earth seemed to have become stagnant at this moment. What Tang San made him feel, he really felt it at this moment. The frenzied strife eased. Like a lover, thunderbolts began to gently caress the bodies of Tang San and young Master Mei. If they were still boats in the storm a moment ago, at this moment, they seemed to be showering in a hot spring. Even thunder, which was originally dark purple, turned into a soft purple, a noble purple at this moment. Continuously inject the purest energy of the plane into their bodies. Young Master Mei even felt that these thunders seemed to be flattering them, fearing that they might offend them. The sea god's light and shadow behind Tang San retracted and disappeared at the same time as the sea god's trident. He turned to the direction of young Master Mei and grabbed her hands. The four eyes met, and the beautiful son's delicate body was slightly shocked, because what she saw was Tang San's wet eyes, tears lingering in his eyes. He pursed his lips, trying not to let the tears flow. He just stared at her. "Honey, we are finally ready to go home. Honey, I finally found you. Come back, my Shao Wu." The beauty's pupils suddenly dilated. In the next moment, she only felt her brain roaring, and the thousands of pictures turned into countless memory fragments rushing wildly in her mind in an instant. Everything began to return at this moment, and began to quickly emerge in her mind. My name is Xiao Wu, dancing dance. Xiao Wu blinked her big eyes and said with a smile, My Wuhuan is a rabbit. It's a cute little white rabbit. How about you? Tang San said. Then don't you just happen to restrain me. My martial spirit is the food of your martial spirit. Blue silver grass. Xiao Wu said. Look at your quilt is quite big. It's not a big problem for two people to cover it. This is good. If we put the bed together, we can both be useful. It's not good if men and women can't kiss each other. Xiao Wu put her baggage on the seam where the two beds were put together. Put your baggage here too. This will be the boundary from now on. If you cross the boundary, don't blame me for being rude. Only then did Tang San realize that the work students had all returned, sat up, pointed to the dividing line in the middle and said, You have crossed the line. Xiao Wu giggled and said, So what if you cross the line? I'm a girl, you should let me go, right? Of course you must never cross the line. Tang San turned around slowly, looked at Xiao Wu seriously. Are you willing to be my sister? I really hope to have another relative. Seeing Tang San's eyes glistening with tears, Xiao Wu's eyes gradually turned red. If one day many people want to kill me, and you can't beat those people, what should I do? A faint smile suddenly appeared on Tang San's face. Then please let them step over my corpse first. Tang San thought for a while and said, Let's call it Samwa Group. Okay, the 3-5 combination has been registered. Hey, the word is wrong, it's Wu, not Wu. Xiao Wu said dissatisfied. Tang San patted Xiao Wu's shoulder, said, Forget it. 3-5 combination is 3-5 combination, it's just a name anyway. Be good. Don't cry. Just come back, just come back. Gently patted Xiao Wu's back. Tang San couldn't help tearing up his eyes. Brother, it's all my fault that made you worry. Xiao Wu said with a sob. Tang San shook his head. Fool. It's my fault. It's my inability to protect you. Xiao Wu pouted a little coquettishly. After driving for a day, my legs are sore. Brother, can you rub my legs for me? Okay, here. Tang San lovingly rubbed Xiao Wu's head. While helping Xiao Wu knead her calf, Tang San said to her, If you still rush on like this tomorrow, if you can't, I'll take you away. I shouldn't have a problem with the speed of my 8 spider lances. Xiao Wu smiled and said, No, I can do it. In fact, it's better to be a little tired. I also have a reason to ask you to rub my legs. It's really comfortable, brother. Why are your palms so hot? Xiao Wu looked at Tang San with frozen eyes. Brother, it would be great if we could always be like this in the future. If you have a sister-in-law in the future, will you not want me? Tang San smiled slightly, said, Silly girl, how could it be? You will always be my sister. Xiao Wu chuckled and said, Why don't I marry you when we grow up, okay? That way I can be your little sister for the rest of my life. Let you take care of me. Tang San laughed and said, Okay, it's just that you are so beautiful. Marrying me will make you feel wronged. Xiao Wu snorted, said, He is serious, there is nothing to be wronged. In my heart, you are the best brother, do you know? Rong Rong always makes fun of me. She said that I and you are elder brother and younger sister. Tang San froze for a moment. That's right, aren't you my sister? Xiao Wu's pretty face flushed. It's not the same. Oops. I won't tell you, it's a piece of wood. Tears flowed down Xiao Wu's big eyes in the blink of an eye, her arms wrapped around Tang San's neck, sobbing. Brother, do you know how much people miss you? Swear, never leave me. Tang San said without hesitation. I swear unless I die, I will never leave Xiao Wu. Only then did Xiao Wu smile through her tears, and leaned on Tang San's shoulder again. Xiao Wu also swears that she will never leave little third brother, even if she dies. Xiao Wu wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. A smile appeared on her pretty face, and she looked at the touching flower in her hand with a little blurred eyes. Unexpectedly, I am the one who is destined. Xiao Wu looked at Tang San with such pure eyes, perhaps, even they themselves didn't know whether there was love between men and women. But the relationship between them is definitely the purest and sincere, without any flaws. That is lovesickness heartbroken red. From time to time, Xiao Wu picked the meat from the vegetables into Tang San's bowl. and she just ate some vegetables and meat dregs. Shao Wu, you eat too. Shao Wu smiled and said, I eat less. What's more, when you are growing up, the master said, you men should eat more meat, otherwise you will lose your strength. A simple sentence hit the softest part of Tang San's heart fiercely. In an instant, the bewilderment and perplexity of the past few days seemed to break free. Tang San stayed there, looking at Shao Wu, with a strange brilliance in his eyes. Tang San put down the steamed bun in his hand, grasped Shao Wu's hand, and at that instant just now, he suddenly figured it out. Looking at Shao Wu's concerned delicate face in front of him, Tang San only felt his blood boil. Shao Wu, no matter what happens in the future, I will always be by your side like now you will. Always be my most cherished Shao Wu. Shao Wu nodded. Brother, can you help me comb my hair? My hair is a little messy. Tang San was stunned for a moment. Comb your hair? But when you go back to sleep, will your hair be messed up? Shao Wu stuck out her tongue at Tang San. You are so stupid, won't it be all right if I go back and practice until tomorrow morning? While speaking, Shao Wu took out a comb from her arms and handed it to Tang San. The wood of this comb is very good. This was given to me by my mother. It was made by my mother herself. It was carved from the above-mentioned high-quality sandalwood and red sandalwood. Although there is no decoration, it is the last thing my mother left for me. Shao Wu, you are really beautiful. Brother, help me comb my hair. Silly girl, this is made of rosewood by Mom. Now that you have made your choice, Mom will give you this comb. In the future, if you can really find a man you love, then let him help you comb your hair with this comb. A woman's hair, only a man can comb it for her in a lifetime. Mother bless you. I hope that one day, you can find the man who can entrust your long hair. I found it. There was a faint smile on her teary face, following the way the man behind her combed her long hair. Her eyes fell on the bright moon, and the bright moonlight seemed to be her mother's smile. Shao Wu held Tang San's face, suddenly looked at Tang San solemnly. Brother, look at me. What are you doing? Tang San stared into Shao Wu's eyes. Brother, this is my first kiss. It's also your first kiss. I snatched it first. I will save it and be missed by others later. Chapter 1160. We used to be. Shao Wu. But, taking a step forward, Tang San raised his hands, cupping Shao Wu's delicate face. Silly girl, there's nothing wrong with it. So what if you're a human? So what if you're a spirit beast? I only know that you are my sister. Yes, the one I love. Hugging her into his arms, Tang San embraced Shao Wu's soft and tender body, and said boldly in words that could be heard by the audience. If you want to catch her, then first step over my corpse. Shao Wu. You are the first man to comb my hair, and the only one. Forever and forever. No matter what our future is, there is no room in my heart except for you. Shao Wu. The spirit bone ability is flying, hurry up. Tang San's voice was completely hoarse. As if being torn apart, he poured all the last strength of his body into this flick. Gently hugging Tang San, Shao Wu's voice whispered in his ear. Brother, you are so stupid, can I live alone after you die? I don't want you to die, I want you to live. I really hope to be able to live with you just like before. But I can't. I'm gone, you have to take care of yourself or I will be sad. For her, he could give his life, commit suicide and take the bones. For him, she could burn her own life and sacrifice the spirit ring. Tang San looked at Shao Wu beside him, his eyes were full of tenderness. My marriage with Shao Wu. I want to get engaged to Shao Wu first under your witness. After she fully recovers, get married immediately. Please agree. As he spoke, he pulled Shao Wu to kneel down in front of his parents. Big drops of tears rolled down Shao Wu's face. Her soul that had temporarily returned to her body throbbed violently. Call out 2 words softly. Dad, Mom. Shao Wu said without hesitation. Senior, I will give him the blood. Bo Saishi glanced at Shao Wu. He patted her head kindly. You are such a silly boy. Tang San can have a confidant like you. It is really the greatest luck in his life. Shao Wu shook her head. He choked up and said, No. Meeting him is the greatest luck in my life. Senior, what should I do? Looking up at the sky, Tang San said silently in his heart. De Ming Er Ming, do you know that resurrecting Shao Wu is your last hope, but it is my only hope. Shao Wu's resurrection and the meaning of my existence are equal to. I don't need to promise you anything. If Shao Wu can't be resurrected, I have no meaning to live. No one loves her more than me. From the moment I met Xiao Wu, she was my destined lover. Xiao Wu, we are finally going to be together again. I will definitely help you resurrect perfectly. I don't allow you to go on like this. You must always be by my side, until one day we die of old age. Tang San didn't back away. He persistently and firmly stared at the eyes in the phantom. Every word. With a voice that was almost roaring, he shouted, "Resurrect, revive, dash. My love people da." Gently kissing Xiao Wu's forehead, Tang San said softly, "Xiao Wu, are you willing to marry me? I am finally qualified to say this to you. I am willing. I am willing." Xiao Wu agreed without hesitation. Her voice was already choked up, her eyes were already filled with tears, but this time they were no longer tears of sadness but tears of happiness. Tang San said softly, "When we return to Tiando City and report to Teacher Ming, I will officially marry you. I must give you a grand wedding. Let the whole world know that you are my wife. Your happiness will be the greatest happiness in my life is that I want to love you forever, forever. Even if the sea is dry and the rocks are rotten, and the world is old, I will never be separated." Xiao Wu buried her head in Tang San's arms, softly said, "No matter what you want to do, I will follow by your side." Tang San apologized and said, "It's all my fault. After you are resurrected, I don't have much time to accompany you. Xiao Wu, do you know that I really want to marry you, and use the most grand wedding ceremony on the mainland to marry you? My bride. Remember, this is my promise to you. It won't be too long. When we defeat the Spirit Empire, I will definitely make you my wife. From now on, I will spend all my time with you, okay? At that time, you will give me a few more children, and we will live wherever you like." Tang San held Xiao Wu's hands. "Send it to your mouth. Xiao Wu, I propose to you. You promised me to. Don't worry. No matter how hard it is, I will make you my bride. I will succeed." Xiao Wu's eyes were red. She threw herself into Tang San's arms, touching Tang San's face with both hands, looking at him stupidly. "Brother, I love you. For me, you must live. You remember, whether you are a human, a god, or a ghost, I will always follow you." Hearing the word marriage, Xiao Wu's pretty face couldn't help turning red, and she quietly lay on Tang San's chest. "Brother, this time, I really feel that I'm about to become your wife." Tang San laughed and said, "Of course. When I first saw you, it was already doomed. You are mine." Xiao Wu laughed and said, "How can I remember when we first met? Someone was thrown on the ground by me. Speaking of which, I can be regarded as someone who has fallen like a god." Tang San scratched his head. "You were still young at that time, and your jujitsu is so powerful. If you throw it, you will throw it. Hitting is kissing, scolding is love. Xiao Wu, do you know? I am the happiest in my life. The time is from the age of 6 to the end of our participation in the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition. Because in those years we have always been together and we can live a carefree life. I can practice with you every day. Seeing your smile is the most satisfying thing for me." Xiao Wu nodded lightly. "Me too. Brother, how could you just abandon me like this? Brother, you can't die, you can't die." Xiao Wu cried out hoarsely. However, the current Tang San could no longer give her any response. "Brother, you promised to marry me, and you said you would give me the grandest wedding. You haven't fulfilled your promise. How can you die? Please wake up, okay? Wake up, come here, no matter what price I have to pay. As long as you are willing to wake up, I am willing." From the beginning to the end, Tang San didn't say a word to Xiao Wu. He just combed her hair for her again. When he finally finished all this, he pulled Xiao Wu's body back again. Looking at her tear-filled eyes, Tang San pressed his forehead against Xiao Wu's and said softly, "Darling, I love you." Xiao Wu trembled all over, hugged Tang San's waist fiercely, pressed her face tightly against his chest. "If you really love me, let me be with you forever. The result will not be change, let me watch you. You're still so naughty now that you're a mother. What's wrong with being a mother? Can't you be coquettish? After you become the law enforcer of the God realm and sea god, aren't you still called Tang San? Still my third brother." Xiao Wu giggled, put her arms around his neck and said, "It's not too bad. Think about it, what's the name of our baby? The goddess of life told me that our second child will be a boy." The sea god had already made up his mind at this time and said, Our precious daughter is called Tang Wutong. Take a character from our name, my Tang San's Tang, your Shaowu's Wu, plus a Fengqi sycamore tree's Tong. Tang Wutong means Tang San and Shaowu's little phoenix. Then our precious son should follow this, I think. Let's call him Tang Wulin. How about it? Shaowu's eyes lit up and she said, Tang San and Shaowu's little unicorn? Yes, that's it. Immediately afterwards she said with a bitter face, it's just that the words are a bit difficult to write. In the future, you responsible for teaching him to read and write. God Tang San smiled and said, no problem, leave it to me. Third brother, don't worry, I will definitely stay with you well. I will definitely get better. Shaowu said with a sweet smile as she rubbed against his leg. She was always like this and didn't want him to worry. Tang San dotingly lowered his head and kissed her forehead. I will definitely cure you. Shaowu, don't worry. After this battle of the gods, we can leave the black hole after we get the control. Then we'll go and find our son. When we find him, everything will be fine. Don't worry. Shaowu nodded. Yes. We will definitely find our son and reunite with his family. Tang San smiled and said, Shaowu, do you know? There is a kind of power in this world, even the gods can't explain its existence, and it is the most powerful power in this world. This kind of energy can definitely cure good for your illness. Shaowu looked at him in surprise. What is that? Tang San said, it's love. It's the power of love. Although my son has temporarily left our side, I have already arranged everything for him in Douluo Dalu, and there is me and Wutong by your side. I love you so much. For us, you must have nothing to do. You know me. If you leave, I will accompany you. I will do what I say. No matter where you are, I will accompany you where. Children, I'm sorry. I want to leave the rest of the time to your grandpa. After all, although you are all my descendants, I love him the most. At the end, Shaowu's pretty face there was a faint blush, and she was a little shy. Shaowu, Tang San called softly. Shaowu turned around slightly, letting her body completely fit into Tang San's arms. He raised his arms and wrapped them around his neck, pressing his cheek against his. Tang San hugged her subconsciously, as if wanting to remember all her smells. Actually, I know everything. Shaowu said softly. You came back late on purpose, didn't you? Tang San didn't speak, but tears kept flowing. Shaowu said, I'm sorry, third brother. I'm sorry. There's nothing I'm sorry for. If it were me, I would choose that way too. Shaowu, I love you. Tang San's voice finally became a little more trembling, and he couldn't restrain his emotions anymore. Shaowu smiled and said, don't cry. Today is our family reunion, a day of great joy. Don't cry. You are not as good looking as I am, and when you cry, you are even uglier. Hee. Tang San took a deep breath, barely controlling his emotions. Okay, I won't cry. Shaowu smiled and said, that's right. Today is really a good day. My last wish has also been fulfilled, and our grandson is safe and sound. Third brother, I will be with you in this life and I can be your wife. I am really happy. Special happiness. I have never regretted my choice. Maybe I saved the universe in my previous life, so I can meet you in this life. We've been together for a very, very long time. But I still can't bear it. I can't bear you. She, who had been smiling all the time, finally had a cry at this moment. Although I always knew that we had already returned long ago, you deliberately prevented the God realm from finding this place. You stayed by my side every day, just to let me live a few more days with my heart in mind. But I just pretend not to know. I wanted to. I also want to spend more time with you by your side. Third brother, I love you too. However, I still have to leave. After I leave, I know you will be very sad. But you still have many responsibilities. You must take good care of the God realm and take good care of our daughter and son. Be the patriarch of our family. If you miss me, just look at it. While talking, Shaowu pulled back her long scorpion braid. Shaowu. Tang San's voice choked instantly. The next moment, the braid in Shaowu's hand broke off at the root, and a long braid was already in her hand. And the moment she broke off her braids, her entire face had turned ashen. Her palm trembling a little put the braid into Tang San's palm and said softly, living is the bravest thing and death is just evading. You have to be a brave person. There are many things waiting for you. Well, Protect our children and help Xuanyu achieve the God realm. You still have many things to do. Third brother, I love you. Xiaowu expressed her love for him again. I love you too, Xiaowu. Tang San held Xiaowu's braid, his body trembling violently. I love you and I love the children. I love you, I really love you, I love you so much. I can't bear you and I really can't bear you. In Xiaowu's beautiful eyes, crystal tears dripped quietly falling, tears slipped down Tang San's skirt, and fell into his palm. In Xiaowu's beautiful eyes, there is a bit more confusion and bewilderment, looking into the distance. Remember when we first met? Do you remember everything we used to be? Third brother, I am willing to love the whole world for you. If there is another life, I will still be your wife. Eyes closed, Xiaowu's delicate body, just in Tang San's arms, quietly turned into dots of light, and quietly dissipated in the space. This moment, it seemed that the whole world froze. In the entire space there were so many kings, but all of them were silent. Xiaowu, don't go too fast, wait for me. I'm coming to find you. Make sure I find you quickly. The blue flame gradually extinguished, and the figure of Tang San, the king of gods and the leader of the God Realm Committee, also changed from solid to illusory. Only his eyes were still bright and dazzling. Xiaowu, maybe when I find you again you have already forgotten everything. Forgot the Star Do Great Forest, our identity as Soul Masters, Shrek Academy, our Douluo Dalu and me. It doesn't matter, I just pray that I can find you. As long as I find you, I will definitely love you with everything I have, and let you come back to me again. Let our family be reunited. Don't go too fast, wait for me. Although it is different from the previous appearance, although even the temperament has changed, but the imprint engraved in the depths of his consciousness clearly embedded this figure in his heart. Hey, here's a drink. Xiaowu. You mistaken me, I'm not Xiaowu. Everyone calls me Mr. Beautiful. Come with me for a moment. Coming in front of him, young Master Mei said directly to him, and then walked towards the small forest beside him. Sister Mei. Tang San called out with a smile. Young Master Mei turned to look at him and said, I'm leaving. Where are you going? He blurted out almost subconsciously, and almost said the second half of the sentence. I will go with you. Young Master Mei shook his head and said, I will not leave Jelly City, but I am going to retreat. Follow my father to retreat. I don't know how long it will take, but it should not be short. Today I am here to say goodbye to you. Shura was silent, he just looked at her. She put away the milk teacup in her hand and said, Then I have to go. Suddenly Shura's heart throbbed a little and he said, Can you give me the milk teacup you just had? Young Master Mei was stunned for a moment, looked at him with more vigilance in his eyes, fell silent for a while but still shook his head. Sorry, this one won't work, I've already had it. Elder Mao suddenly said, Oh, wait a minute. I have something for you. Things. Tang San was taken aback. Mao Lao walked to his desk, picked up something, then turned and walked towards Tang San. When Tang San saw clearly what was in his palm, his eyes couldn't move away anymore. Even though he was a man of the third generation at this moment, his eyes were blurred by mist. A little girl asked me to give it to you. It's also us human beings. She looks so beautiful. Mao Lao handed the thing in his hand to Tang San. Tang San put it in his hand. It was a cup still filled with warm milk tea. Or say it is a cup of milk tea from my Gongzi milk tea shop. This is the cup that Shura didn't ask for yesterday, but today it is in front of Tang San in his hand. At this moment, the depths of his heart have been filled with happiness, and at this moment all the wandering and depression of the night have been swept away. Tang San smiled, although there were tears in that smile, but at this moment, everything in front of his eyes seemed to be full of sunshine. Xiaowu. Thank you. Today I swear by my blood, for the rest of my life, no matter in good times or bad, no matter how strong or weak, no matter how young or old, no matter what the road ahead is, I will always guard the beautiful sun. I will never do anything against her. I will always be by her side and never betray you. If you break this oath, the world will abandon you, and the five thunders will strike you. Before she could ask, Tang San continued, Concentrate. Use your mental power to pull the holy flame knife, and then drop a tear on the knife. Young Master Mei's pretty face was a little strange. What should I do if I can't cry? Tang San said helplessly. Just think about it, we are besieged, I was seriously injured and I will die soon. Don't talk nonsense. Young Master Mei immediately raised her hand to cover Tang San's mouth, but the next moment, her pretty face blushed, and she took her hand back. I really can't cry," young Master Mei said with a bitter face. Tang San pondered for a moment and said, "Let me tell you a story." "What story?" Young Master Mei looked at him in surprise. "You have to be good." Tang San's voice sounded beside her ears. Young Master Mei suddenly felt that his voice seemed to have changed, some familiar, yet strange. It is familiar because it seems to have heard it before, but it is unfamiliar because it does not seem to belong to Shura. Tang San's eyes were slightly closed, with a smile on his face. He muttered to himself, "A sword is a sacrifice." "Don't." She wanted to shout, but she couldn't make a sound during the space transmission. He never looked back at her, because he was afraid that if he saw it himself, he would be reluctant to part with her. The beautiful son with tears in his eyes stood in front of the window, repeating the same words in a murmur. "Brother, you haven't taken off the mask for me yet. How could you just leave me like this?" "Azura is Tang San. Tang San is Azura. I am not dead. Tang San has never disappeared. In fact, I have always been by your side." But why are you being so nice to me? Why are you always being nice to me at all costs?" Young Master Mei asked. She finally straightened out her thoughts gradually and grasped the key to the problem. Tang San was silent for a while and then said, "What I said next may be a little unbelievable. However, this is the only reason that can explain all kinds of unbelievable things that happen to me. Xiaomei, do you believe in karma? Or, do you believe in reincarnation?" "So you were my husband in the previous life?" the beautiful son murmured. Tang San nodded. Young Master Mei gently stroked Tang San's carbonized palm with a bit of confusion in his eyes. "The first time I saw you, you came to buy milk tea, and you were looking at me all the time. Then I saw that you seemed to be crying. If we really had a karma, you would have recognized me by then. You were still very weak at that time. I can always see you later in the milk tea shop in the college. Your figure will always appear in front of me. To you, I always have an inexplicable feeling of intimacy. My heart seems to be naturally not right. You set up your defenses. Thinking about it now, if the karma you said in the previous life is true, then everything can be explained clearly. It turns out that it is the of the previous life that made me like to be with you all the time. Oh, later you put on a mask and turned into Shura. You were right. If Tang San at that time showed the ability of Shura later, I would definitely think you were a monster. So you hid your identity. But maybe it was because of the wonderful feeling towards Tang San. I always have an estrangement from Shura, and I am naturally unwilling to get close to him even though Shura has always helped me. Until this time I participated with Shura in the Ancestral Court Classic. I gradually got to know him and gradually felt his selfless kindness to me, but even so, I never thought about men and women. I just wanted to recognize him as my brother. Perhaps it's because Tang San's face is always imprinted in my mind. Do you know how anxious I am when I can't find you after the retreat is over? Actually, you are right. If you use Tang San's identity to come to me again, it will definitely be better than telling me that you are Shura. Based on my affection for Tang San, I guess I will gradually accept you by my side. Yes, but you didn't want me to be sad, so you told me the truth. Indeed, my heart was really confused at that time, and I often thought, is there really such a thing as karma? The moment you stood behind me again and held my hand, all the hesitation and uncertainty in my heart have disappeared. Whether you are Tang San or Shura, you are the one who stands by my side. I don't know the past life how we are together, but you gave up your status as a king and reincarnated for me. I can already understand how much we loved each other. Get well soon, and I will try to be with you well. Yes, I am trying our love in this life. When I was transmuting and transforming, I seemed to see all kinds of past lives. I am willing, and I am willing to be with you in this life. As long as you can get better. You, those who have promised me, you will always guard by my side, always be my patron saint, and you must keep your word. The beautiful son lowered his head and buried his whole head in his arms. You, as long as you come back alive, I will be your girlfriend. The formal one. The kind you can kiss. Tang San's mouth turned up. Okowo. Young Master Mei said. Do we have to leave this plane in the future? Go back to the previous side. Tang San nodded lightly and said, now you may not have any idea about it, but with the improvement of your cultivation, especially after becoming the emperor in the future, the memory of your previous life should gradually recover, It overlaps with the memory of this life. At that time, you will definitely miss our home and our children." When he heard him talking about our children, young Master Mei couldn't help but blushed again. "But I'm not what I used to be now. Will they accept me?" Tang San smiled and said, "It will definitely, and in fact what you don't know is that you are becoming more and more like you in the previous life. After all, the you who used to be considered half a king, even if you are really reincarnated now, you still have the marks of your previous life on your body. As your strength becomes stronger and stronger, the you of the two lives will gradually overlap." Young Master Mei nodded lightly and took the initiative to hold his hand. "Thank you for coming to find me." Tang San held her hand tightly and said, "As long as you don't dislike me in this life, we will always be together." "I don't dislike it." Young Master Mei gently shook his head. "I don't dislike it in this life, and I won't dislike it in the next life." Tang San said, "I will work hard and strive to not have another life." Young Master Mei was stunned for a moment. "Will you not want me in the next life?" Tang San shook his head and said, "How is that possible? I want to hold on to you in this life, and at the same time, I also want to be in this life so that we can truly live forever with the universe." Young Master Mei said softly, "You said that we are karma in the previous life, then after I become emperor in the future, will I be able to restore the memory of my previous life?" Tang San gave her a deep look and said, "That depends on whether you want to recover or not." Young Master Mei nodded. "I thought about it because I want to know how we were together in the previous life. It must be a very good memory. In fact, I have always wanted to say something to you these days." Tang San smiled and said, "What is it?" Young Master Mei raised his head and looked at him with deep eyes. "Thank you for coming to find me." The scenes of that scene are so clear, and all the memories of the past and present are gradually overlapping together. When her eyes were soaked by the purple thunder sea again, tears were already streaming down her face. "Third brother!" She yelled suddenly, then threw herself into Tang San's arms, hugging his body tightly. "Yes, she is back. Xiao Wu is back." All the memories of Xiao Wu and Mei Gongzi are completely integrated, and the life after life he had promised, he really found her second life, and really made them able to be together again. Tang San found Xiao Wu, and Xiao Wu also waited for his Tang San.